It's 8 days to go for the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. Welcome to the AM show. It's a Friday edition. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I do this with Benjamin Akako. Now, this morning, we start by serving you the AM news, the latest updates on all the stories in and around the country. After that, we get into a news review segment. And today, Kwame Nkrumah Botsio, he's General Secretary of the CPP, as well as Affail Monney, former president of GJA, and lawyer Apia Dankwa from the Movement for Change, will be joining us to review the newspapers and the stories captured in there. Muftan Abil Abdullah brings you his special prime take this morning on AM Sports. And then, of course, we get into our big stories. Now, with just 8 days remaining for the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, Constituency Lens today takes you to Esojaman, where voters are putting pressure on political parties to present clear, actionable plans to address their top concerns. They're talking about high cost of living, youth unemployment, and the reduced cost of vehicle spare parts. Carlos Kaloni is on that beat, and he will take us to the constituency in the Eastern region. And after that, we'll have a conversation on the back of that. You want to stay with us, but you can also join the conversation from wherever you are across all social media platforms. We are Joy News on TV. But of course, around the world, you can also follow us at myjoyonline.com. It's Friday. I like that I'm looking very orange this morning. Let's get into the AM news now. This is the AM news. Let's start from our election headquarters. Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, has pledged to declare electoral results that reflects the true mandate of voters. The EC boss gave the assurance at the signing of the 4th Peace Pact ahead of the 2024 presidential elections. The National Peace Council has committed all 12 presidential candidates contesting this year's elections to signing a peace pact to ensure all parties agree to use peaceful means to resolve any electoral dispute before, during, and after elections. The road to the Peace Pact has not been without difficulties, as the opposition National Democratic Congress tabled some demands which the Peace Council is yet to resolve. But in her address and pledge for peace, the EC chair, Jean Mensah, says the Commission will work to ensure the final result of the elections reflects the true mandate of the people.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, Chopbox Technology, a convenient service, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants CIMA, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants AICPA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gaps for positive youth development. Syntex Tanks, Air Strong, Air Tough, Potential Real Estate, your trusted partner in real estate. Deluxe Paint, Paint Mu Champion.
As a commission, I assure you that we will continue to apply these ingredients of transparency, responsiveness, and inclusiveness in all our activities through to the election day and beyond. On behalf of the Electoral Commission of Ghana, I pledge that my team and I will continue to conduct our activities in a way and manner that will ensure peace before, during, and long after the 2024 election. The processes we will employ on election day and in the days aftermath are robust, transparent, and inclusive. The results we will declare will reflect the will of the citizens as expressed at the polls.
We can now hear from the two major candidates. First is the New Patriotic Party's Dr. Mahama and Bawumia, who says he will do everything on his part to ensure peace, urging his contenders to also do the same.
As we approach the home stretch for the elections 2024, my plea to everybody involved in the electioneering process, including candidates, political parties, electoral officers, voters, the media, security, and the general public, is to take responsibility for ensuring peace and harmony seriously, and to demonstrate that we are not reluctant Democrats. My hope, and that of the MPP, is that we will come out of this election stronger as a nation. We are hopeful all sides will take some positive steps to preserve the unity, peace, and stability of this country.
I've come here today to place on record my personal commitment and that of my party, the National Democratic Congress, to the sustenance of Ghana's peace. At the very outset, let me indicate that we in the NDC remain eternally committed to the building of a peaceful and prosperous country in which the aspirations of all our people can be met. Our active participation in this event is an indication of its importance in the overall effort to guarantee peace and ensure the preservation of our nation in the aftermath of the upcoming elections.
Now, still on the Peace Pact, Chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujimfi, says all political parties must at all costs eschew violence before, during, and after the elections.
Since the inception of the Fourth Republic, Ghana has seen considerable improvement in her electoral journey. The Electoral Commission, the political parties, the police service, and the media all improved their methods of operation in terms of capacity and delivery. There have been significant reforms in the election calendar and the general conduct of elections, which have enabled the organization of peaceful, transparent, and credible elections. It is indeed our collective duty as citizens of Ghana to ensure that our elections are conducted in a free, fair, and transparent environment. Excellencies, it is in furtherance of sustaining the peace of Ghana that the National Peace Council was established to facilitate and develop mechanisms for conflict prevention, management, resolution, and to build sustainable peace in the country.
In other stories, the Ghana Journalists Association has vowed to resist attempts by the Electoral Commission to resist media access to coalition centers after the EC said only a limited number of media outlets will be granted access to the constituency and regional coalition centers. GJA President Albert Jumfo, at a press briefing, said the association has engaged the Electoral Commission to reconsider the decision. Mr. Jumfo indicated that the move could lead to the spread of misinformation and disinformation on election day, which could disrupt the peace the country enjoys. Albert Jumfo acknowledged the critical role the media plays on ensuring people are well informed on election day and urged the EC to allow the media unfettered access to the coalition centers.
In that engagement, we clearly stated our position. The EC must give unfettered access to the media at all the levels of voting and collation of ballots. The parties agreed that GJA and GIBA should present a proposal to the EC on the way forward, which we are working on as we speak to you. Colleagues, we believe restricting access to the media will not be in the best interest of transparency, accountability, and access to information, which is always a major partnership essential for these elections.
Now, still on election 2024, the NDC parliamentary candidate in Lambusi constituency, Professor Titus Bayu, says he remains unfazed by threats and any form of intimidation directed at him or his supporters. He reaffirmed this resolve to reclaim the parliamentary seat that the NDC lost to the NPP in the last elections. Addressing a press conference in Wa, Professor Bayo revealed that during a campaign event last Tuesday, his personal security detail spotted a young man who had earlier issued threats against his life, handing over a locally manufactured pistol to an accomplice, Philip Wonueno. His private security team swiftly intervened before the suspect could execute his premeditated act, apprehending him and handing him over to the police. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that the suspect, that is Philip Wonueno, was subsequently arraigned before the Wa Circuit Court, and he has been remanded into police custody and is scheduled to reappear in court on January 16th next year.
According to the NDC parliamentary candidate for Lambuse, Professor Tatius Kofi-Bayo, his attention was drawn whilst addressing a rally of the presence of one Isaac Bayo, alias Kumbere, a known supporter of the NPP, who was engaged in an altercation with one of his supporters and disputing some of the information that he was given to the gathering. Professor Bayo alleged that Isaac Bayo tried to physically assault Solomon Korso, one of his team members, and was restrained by other members present.
He left the scene on his motorbike very angry amidst his issuance of death threats to my person and 2 of my team members. He promised to return and deal with us. After a brief period, while I was still on the floor addressing the gathering, he returned to the scene. Still very infuriated, our security details monitored him closely and noticed him handing over a gun to one Philip Wonueno, currently in police custody, who is a son of the NPP polling station chairman in Kocha. The security closed in on Philip Wonueno before he could carry out any premeditated attack. They apprehended him, seized their weapon, and it was a locally manufactured pistol loaded with live ammunition. He was subsequently handed over to the police and should be appearing in court in Wa today.
Suspect Wonueno this morning was arraigned before the Wa Circuit Court behind me. He was remanded into police custody and to appear next year, January 16. His accomplice, Isaac Bayo, is currently at large. The police says they are pursuing him to bring him to justice. Professor Bayo praised his security team for their vigilance, which made them to foil the attack.
Fortunately, this attack was foiled by the vigilance of our security team. My team and I escaped the ordeal unharmed, though many community members were traumatized emotionally. While it may be early days yet to point accusing fingers, we repose full confidence in the police to conduct a thorough investigation to unravel anybody behind or involved in this plot and bring them to book.
The former General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association said he's unshaken and unfazed about the threat and intimidation on his life, adding that he remains resolute in his quest to reclaiming the Lambuse parliamentary seat the NDC ceded to the NPP in the last elections.
Let me use this opportunity to inform all criminally minded persons that I am unfazed by this threat and any other form of intimidation. We are resolute in our quest to take back the seat of Lambuse for the National Democratic Congress, to bring quality leadership of service to the good people of Lambuse, and nothing will stop us.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wa.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams, Chopbox Technology, a convenient service, German Ozone Medical Center, alternative therapy, dental, wellness and beauty, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants CIMA, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants AICPA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Youth Break Foundation, bridging the gaps for positive youth development. Syntex Tanks, Air Strong, Air Tough, Potential Real Estate, your trusted partner in real estate, Deluxe Paint. Paint Mu Champion.
Now let's focus on the education sector because the free senior high school program is once again at the center of a heated political debate between the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress. This time, the controversy has made its way into academia, with university lecturers openly taking sides based on their political persuasion. At the University of Cape Coast School of Business conference room, two groups of academics held separate press conferences to share their views on the policy. Central Regional Correspondent Erica Sante has more in the following report.
The first group, known as University Lecturers for Free SHS, in their press conference held at the University of Cape Coast School of Business Conference Hall, situated their message on three thematic areas. The group chronicled statement from the NDC suggesting the party was against the Free SHS policy. Professor Isaac Boedi, a dean of the University of Professional Studies, is the convener of the group.
Our President Mahama on the 9th November 25th, 2017, stated that La Sulala Free SHS will fail. Former President Mahama on his presidential promises, the primaries that he conducted, said Akufo-Addo free education is not working. Again, former President Mahama, again on October 1st, 2018, reiterated his aversion to free education, free SHS, stating that it will undergo a review and hinted on the possibility of the policy being scrapped because, to him, it is unthinkable to spend 2 billion Ghana cedi in free SHS and that it is seriously constricting government budget. With all these pronouncements against free SHS, how would anyone convince Ghanaians that our former President Mahama will be a better manager of this same policy?
The lecturers who declared their support for the NPP government urged voters to vote for Dr. Mahama and Bawumia to safeguard the free SHS policy.
The free SHS education program is a beacon of hope for millions of children and a catalyst for national transformation. As university lecturers, we pledge our unwavering support for this initiative and commit to advocating for its protection and improvement. Dr. Mahama and Bawumia is poised to win the December 7th, 2024 general election.
But the remarks have drawn sharp criticism from another group of academics who also held a press conference at the same venue. They are known as the University Lecturers for Improved Free SHS. The Professor George K.T. Ojo-led group accused their colleagues of partisan bias and called on voters to evaluate political promises rather than rely on what they describe as distorted narratives.
These distortions, ladies and gentlemen, in our educational sector wouldn't have reached a stage where Charles would describe the situation as a ticking time bomb if the NPP had heeded the caution by the experienced visionary leader, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that if he had even 2 billion cedis to spend, he won't spend all on free SHS, neglecting other levels. Simply, the fundamentals of our educational system has been weakened and need resetting.
That does it for election headquarters, but in other stories, the Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana has announced a nationwide indefinite strike effective yesterday, Thursday, November 28th. Now, the decision follows the government's failure to fulfill key promises, including the provision of adequate personal protective equipment, payment of outstanding salary arrears, and honoring commitments related to bonuses and financial clearance for new staff. My colleague, Collins Frimpong, has been examining the potential impact of the strike.
Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana has begun an indefinite strike today November 29th, in demand for about 500 more employment or staff employment, and also demand for protective equipment, as well as increments in certain allowances. But is the strike effective? This is the question that many people have been asking. Here at Kolebu Teaching Hospital Mortuary, we speak to some relatives off camera who tell Joy News that they were able to gain services. Normally, when you come here, you can see that the entrance or the main entrance has been locked during strike period. But today, when the team got here, the entrance or the main gate was opened with no sign of strike. The dangers or the red flags that are always hanged on the gates are no more there.
Shining a spotlight on the importance of mental health, Girl Get Up Africa took its annual conference to a whole new level. With a panel of passionate speakers, the event touched the hearts and minds of young women, reminding them of their worth and the need to take care of themselves and their communities. There's more in this report.
As part of its commitments to empowering young women to become best versions of themselves, Girl Get Up Africa incorporated a mental health session into its annual conference. A panel of esteemed speakers delivered heartfelt messages encouraging the young women in attendance to prioritize their well-being and recognize their immense value to themselves and those around them.
I think at the very core of that topic, Girl, You Matter, we're telling you, it's like we're telling you you matter. But the most important thing is for you to switch that you to I.
One of the speakers, Janet Sunkwa Mills, who's also marketing strategist, urged the attendees to maximize their time while they're still young and to always include ways of impacting society in their plans.
Why don't we want to own things and do them in a way that impacts others positively? Sometimes you need a mentor, somebody to guide you, and that is all. So don't live your life here feeling that you're a second-class citizen. What did I say? You are abundantly made.
Similarly, the founder of Girl Get Up Africa, Sweetie Abochi, inspired the audience by sharing her personal journey, emphasizing the importance of resilience, hard work, and hope in pursuit of a brighter future.
There was a time in my life where we didn't have enough food to eat. And so there were neighbors who I thought were richer than us or were, more comfortable than us at Lashibi Community 18. And they had this bag of rice that they were going to throw away. And that's when I learned the word expired. So I remember it. So they were going to throw the bag of rice away, and then I saw them and I was like, why are you taking that too? I was hungry. I could feel the hunger pangs, right? And for me, that's so much food. Why are you going to throw so much food away? Somehow, my mom appeared and said, oh, don't worry, I'll toss it for you. I'll take it off your hands. You're going to throw it away, right? I'll take it away. I'll throw it away for you. And so she took it. We ate that bag of rice for about 2 weeks, right? And the last time my mom prepared that meal, she only gave us the raw rice and said, go to school, I'll bring the stew to you later.
The conference concluded on a high note, with attendees leaving motivated and equipped with actionable insights to navigate life's challenges. By fostering self-awareness, resilience, and social impact, Girl Get Up Africa continues to be a beacon of hope and empowerment for young women. Adobe Asare's report for Joy News.
On that note, let's get into a business update with Benjamin Akapu.
Welcome to business. Now, an international court in London is expected to rule on Tullow Oil's $400 million in tax charged by the Ghana Revenue Authority by the end of this year. We have details in this report.
This update was captured in Tullow Oil's trading, released to its investors in London today. The oil exploration noted that, depending on the outcome of the ruling, that could impact on its 2024 financials. Tallow in October 2021 filed a request at the International Chamber of Commerce contesting the tax charge by the Ghana Revenue Authority. However, the Ghana Revenue Authority is insisting that it stands by the work done on tallow when it comes to taxes due Ghana. However, a lot of industry watchers are worried about the impact of this move in Ghana's quest to attract fresh investment into the sector in these challenging times.
Now, exploration firm Springfield has established that its Affail oil well has significant commercial flow to aid full-scale production. Group Chief Executive of Springfield, Kevin Ottery, has been speaking about this significant milestone and its impact on commercial production.
We are extremely happy with the results of our appraisal program, which has further confirmed our understanding of our geological, geophysical, and reservoir models, and has demonstrated our operational capacity. Afina 1X is a vertical well. We are confident that a horizontal well or other well options that maximize reservoir exposure in the fields will deliver much higher production rates. This provides an incredible platform for reaffirming commercial development options for the Sedimentarian and the Turanian reservoirs. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Springfield team, the Northern Ocean Deep Sea Booster crew, and all the other service partners for conducting this activity safely and on schedule.
Well, that will be it for the business updates this morning. I'm actually looking, since it's a Friday, on a lighter note, about when I can grow enough hair like Sweetie Abochi so I can, do styles, different styles with the hair. Sweetie Abochi, over to you.
Ben, thank you for first bringing us business updates and for acknowledging that I'm wearing my own hair today. But that's a wrap for the AM News Bulletin. Guess who's joining us for News Review? Kwame Nkrumah Butsu, that's General Secretary of the CPP. Affail Monney, former president of GJA, and lawyer Apia Dankwa from the Movement for Change. Stay with us. We'll be back in a bit. Good morning again. This is the AM show, and this segment is the news review segment where we get to review the newspapers and the stories captured in there that resonate with you and I. Now, before we get started, I want to remind you that this year's CompuGhana Cashback has been named as Prime Cashback Season, and it's packed with incredible deals and exciting surprises. Now, this Prime Cashback, CompuGhana, is bringing you exclusive discounts, prime savings, and awesome surprises when you shop products from any of their branches nationwide. You can find products from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, TCL, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Media, Nasco, Techno, Infinix, itel, Huawei, and many more. Visit any of CompuGhana branches nationwide and enjoy exclusive discounts on all products. You know, CompuGhana has a wide range of IT-related products. Mobile phones and laptops, printers, desktops, mobile phones, I mentioned that already, television, home theaters, fridges, and many more. So every time you shop at CompuGhana this season, be on the lookout for the surprise team. Answer a question correctly, and you stand the chance of winning instant gifts and cash. You deserve this opportunity too, so rush to CompuGhana now. The promo runs from now till December, so you can also visit www.compughana.com or simply call 0302-752-020 for more information. Now, guess who joins me in the studio this morning for the news review segment? I gave you a clue when we were wrapping up AM News this morning. I have Affail Monney, former president of GJA, in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sweetie.
We also have lawyer Apia Dankwa from the Movement for Change. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
You're welcome to the studio.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Right, so let's get straight into business. Let me start with you, Mr. Monney. What would be your 2 minutes take that you share with us this morning?
I'll begin by taking a synoptic look at the U-turn made by the EC over the directive given to journalists to restrict or limit access to the collation centers Probably this directive violated a law of timing. We simply state that doing the right thing at the right time will bring success. Doing the right thing at the wrong time is a mistake. Doing the wrong thing at the right time will bring resistance. And doing the wrong thing at the right time will bring resistance. And then doing the wrong thing at the wrong time will bring disaster.
Yeah.
And certainly the reaction, furious reaction from stakeholders spoke volumes about the wrong timing of that directive. And we all know, and the point can hardly be articulated, that stakes in next week's elections are incredibly high. And journalists are critical stakeholders because we are the eyes, we are the ears, we are the noses of also the political parties and the generality of Ghanaians. So this is a time for us to train our ears, shine our eyes, and monitor in minute detail all the processes leading to the elections. Thank God the EC made a U-turn, and it demonstrates, their sensitivity to the happenings in this country. They are not an island, and this point must be made clear. They are not an island.
Right.
And so they should inject responsibility and sensitivity in whatever actions they take.
I remember listening to Dr. Bosman Asare, and he was talking about we need the media houses more than ever at this point. But I mean, we are grateful that they did that U-turn. But did you see the wisdom in limiting access, in terms of limited access to media men? Did you see the wisdom behind that decision?
There was no grain of sense. No grain of sense in that decision. I don't know what informed them to take that action. Because in the past, journalists had unlimited access, unfettered access. Yeah. And why now? So when going to election with all kinds of expectations, suspicions. So you see, I believe they've learned their lessons from this decision, and never again will they take any decision without consulting the stakeholders. Right. Proactive decision-making and inclusivity is very important in every decision you take.
Thank you, Mr. Monney. Mr. Danko, I'll come to you in a bit for your 2-minute take, but I want to read out the headlines on the Daily Graphic newspaper, also, so that we can get a short intervention. Now, on election 2024, Bawumia, Mahama signed peace pact. 11 other candidates concur. Election Security Task Force engages UTAG. Electricity challenges fixed, lights on across the country, says the Energy Minister. And Glyco calls for peaceful elections. These are some stories on the front page of the Daily Graphic, and we can see the two major presidential candidates, that is Vice President Dr. Mahama and Bawumia and former President John Dramani Mahama, signing. I do not know how the entire party, especially the chairman, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, feel about Mahama signing this peace pact, but this is where we are, gentlemen. And let me use the opportunity to also introduce Kwame Nkrumah Botsio, who joins us in the studio, and he is the General Secretary of the CPP. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sweetie.
Right, gentlemen.
Morning.
Looks like we are all set now. Before we get into the papers, Mr. Dankwa, walk us through your trail of thoughts.
Mr. Apia Dankwa.
Mr. Apia Dankwa.
So let me wish your lovely viewers a good morning. Wish yourself a good morning, Mr. Affail Monney. Lobosio is an old friend.
Okay.
We were missed from Achimota School and also at the law school. So it's always I'm always glad when I meet Kwame Nkrumah. I call Osajifo. And also to wish Christabel Opoku-Kwarteng a happy birthday.
Okay.
I think my thoughts has to do with the peace pact yesterday and what the supposed peace pact means for the sustainability of democracy in Ghana.
Right.
I think this is the first time we've had a peace pact. During the last election, in spite of the peace pact, 8 of our compatriots had to lose their lives, and we are yet to account for why lives have to be lost in this simple exercise of expressing opinion as to who you think should take over the reins of government. Personally, I think the fact that we continue to sign this peace pact is a tacit admission of our failure to build the right structures, the right systems, the right institutions that would sustain democracy. We've all collectively, as a people, failed to build that right political culture that sustains democracy and can guarantee for us the rule of law. And unless we deliberately, as a people, led by the state institutions, led by government, and supported deliberately by the political parties to build that right political culture that will tolerate diverse of views, that right political culture that will hold political leadership accountable, you understand? Then we cannot be guaranteed of the rule of law and also the promise of democracy. We can't continue to practice this a third of democracy, because democracy isn't just power of the people. Democracy isn't just voting. Democracy also includes power by the people and for the people. And unless collectively, all of us, we build that right political culture that will hold leadership to this vow of democracy, where we do not just go and vote, go and, as in every 4 years, we go and pretend to be doing democracy.
Can we pretend?
We are pretending, but what we have is democracy.
Just a second. You're saying we should build systems that,
institutions.
The institutions and all that. The history, paints a rather not very bright picture in terms of Africans, our elections, and the connection to violence. And they say that Ghana is a beacon of democracy, right? So if we have put in place a system where all presidential candidates can sign a document and say, me, representing my entire party, are committing that we're going to use peaceful means to resolve whatever disputes occur during, before, and after the elections, wouldn't that rather be something we commend?
No, that's.
It's a failure. That's a result of our failure.
It's a failure. When America going to do this sign a peace pact?
Well, their democracy is way advanced than what we are practicing here.
Contrary to what we think, Africa and the Europeans began this democracy around the same time. Yeah. Europeans, apart from the UK and France, started their democratic exercise after the Second World War.
But comparatively, Africans are more prone to have election violence
Why?
compared to the Western world.
Why?
And so this is just our way of saying that, well, this particular election, we are committing to peace.
No, but we do it every 4 years. I'm saying instead of this razzmatazz and this fake system, why don't we expend energy deliberately and build those right systems and structures, the right political culture that will ensure that when we are going to vote, you understand? Right. We do not need to be signing some peace pacts to give us the comfort of having. Let's give our people real democracy. The democracy which is a democracy which is not just of the people, as in our voting, but which is also by the people. And my senior brother here mentioned inclusivity. So governance needs to be inclusive. And then finally, the democracy must be for the people.
Is that why you excluded yourselves?
Who?
Did you sign the peace?
Yes.
But
the fact that we sign, in my view, does not mean that we should be able to create systems that will give us comfort. That we do not need to come and sign this fake paper. Because in spite of the fake papers we signed last elections, 8 of our compatriots lost their lives.
Okay, Apia, hold for me. Let me come to Osaje for Kwame Nkrumah.
Thank you.
What do you make of all this? But that's your 2-minute take if you want to reflect.
I would say that my take dovetails a bit from my classmates' own.
Right.
And indeed, if you're going to sign a peace pact and you still have 8 people dead after 4 years, nobody brought to book, they are making a mockery of democracy. Our institutions need to be strengthened. And if you look critically, from 1992 up to 2004, what is the state of our institutions? The various institutions, the police, IGP, they are doing their best. Do they get the necessary support from the executive? I believe the only way forward is to break the 32. Kick out NDC and MPP. Already, my former boss, Madam Nana Ajantua, I still consider her my boss, even though she's resigned.
Yeah.
She has endorsed Honorable Alan Tremantin. Our Nkrumah's brothers, the PNC, whom we love very much, they have endorsed His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I would say that Ghanaians should take a critical look.
I think PNC did endorse Mahama.
They did, they endorsed His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Yes, PNC has. I think Ghanaians should take a critical look at where these 2 individuals are coming from. Honorable Alan is a man accomplished in his own right, but he has roots in the NPP. John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, NDC. Look at the past 32 years, 1992 to 2024. Ghana is about to enter its 70th year. Ghanaians have worked very hard. They deserve a time of prosperity. The only way out, and I'm also making my endorsement, is Nana Akosua-Adomah Sarpong Kumankumah. Let us break the 32 and take Ghanaians back to the era of the CPP. You have only 8 days to make that decision. And you need, the CPP needs only 1 vote. Your vote, that is all that you need.
I have to ask you this. You want us to break away from the 32 years of NDC, NPP, and all that. Do you think your party, the CPP, has done the work to position yourself as a formidable force that will break the duopoly? Do you think that you've done the work? If you have, for 32 years, where have you been? Why haven't you,
don't forget,
elicited that confidence in us that we...
Don't forget that up until the year 2000, the CPP was banned. Wow. The CPP was banned. It was only 2000 that we started trying to find our feet. And this duopoly fought tooth and nail to keep us down. But we have broken free. Have you heard of CPP endorsing any party this year? No. Okay. We have broken free. Okay. And I believe that we will get that 1 vote that we need to break the 32.
In the case of a runoff, what will happen?
In the case of a runoff, we will listen to Ghanaians, because at that point, I am confident that if we get that 1 vote from each Ghanaian, the runoff will be between the CPP and another party.
Okay,
the ball is in your court.
Let's get into the newspapers.
If you are tired,
Thank you for that. I'll start with the Daily Graphic. We already read the stories on the front page, and let me start from where we are ending. That's the peace pact that was signed yesterday. The 2 leading candidates in the December 7 presidential election, Vice President Mahama and Bawumia and John Dramani Mahama, have signed a peace pact declaring their commitment to promote peace during and after the elections, and also signing the peace pact were 11 other presidential candidates or their representatives. And so we know the story. We've gotten into that. Let me run through the Daily Graphic and see what stories we have in here. Why must police go to polling stations unarmed? That's a question. I think it's an editorial. I'll pose that question to you, gentlemen. France moves to renew ties with Nigeria. Britain pledges $2.5 billion for poor nations. Election Security Task Force engages UTAG. The National Election Security Task Force has engaged the University Teachers Association of Ghana in Accra to deliberate on issues of relevance. It forms part of ongoing stakeholder engagements to ensure a peaceful 2024 general election. So the IGP and the chairman of the Security Task Force were there, and they said the meeting was to inform the association about the work the task force had undertaken and the preparations they've made so far ahead of elections 2024. Avoid acts of violence in December elections. Chief advises Zango youth. Voting is civic responsibility, first-time voters told. Media restriction will undermine election integrity. Media Coalition on Election 2024 is saying that. We know that they've done a U-turn, and we started, I think Affail Monney touched on that a bit. NPP must fall on December 7, Valerie Sewe is saying. Achimota NPP targets 90% votes for Dr. Mahama and Bawumia. Dementia is not witchcraft. Oh, truly, it is not witchcraft. Let's see what this story is saying. Growing up, I think it's a story on someone who is trying to change the narrative about dementia and all that. On Catholic bishops' call for sustenance of democratic governance, that is on the Graphic National Development Series. Guiding telecommunications industry, NCA's strategic efforts. These are just some stories. President inaugurates Achimota Market. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo last Wednesday inaugurated a reconstructed market at Achimota in the eastern region after the old one was destroyed by fire in September 2021. The new market, which was financed by the District Assembly's Common Fund, comprises 272 lockable stores, 510 stalls, 2 banking halls, a clinic, a pharmacy, a restaurant, a mini-mart, among others. And the president was at the event where the Omanhene of Achim Kotoku State was also present, and that has been done. Boxing's Night of Shame at Bukum Boxing Arena. What was supposed to be a thrilling night of boxing at the Bukum Arena last Saturday descended into utter chaos and disgrace, leaving Ghanaian boxing in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. 3 national titles were on the line, but the event spiraled into chaos as much anticipated headline clash between Jacob Dixon and Haruna Mohammed fell apart over a contract dispute. So these are just some stories here in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Gentlemen, which of these piques your interest that I would like to reflect on? Mr. Monney, let me start with you.
Certainly the dominant story, the peace pact signed yesterday. Our friend who's a contrary view.
Yes.
It's a man to nothing. It's an exercise in futility, but we see it as a step in the right direction, a positive move, and peace is a process and not a destination. And democracy is also a process. In America, we saw their reputation as the leading democracy in the world, nearly fell apart in the year 2020. And this underlines the fact that no country has arrived as far as democracy is concerned. So we all need a collective effort to, to polish our democratic credentials, strengthen our democratic underpinnings, so that we move forward as a nation. We've tried other systems which did not work. Yesteryears were under military rule, where we were shackled by all kinds of laws, where we were hobbled by all kinds of circumstances. And in the year 1992, we as a nation voted in a referendum to abandon the bullet course and embrace the ballot box as a civilized means of electing our leaders. So we are inclined to believe that the peace pact signed yesterday by His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, and former President Mahama was not a mere act of political symbolism, but a clear-eyed and ironclad commitment to safeguard the peace, security, and stability of this nation.
Okay. Mr. Monney, I want you to conclude on this for me, then I'll go to my other guests. Why must police go to polling stations armed? What do you make of this? Should they not go to the polling stations?
They should go to the polling stations, but they always keep a distance. Because,
is this something we should even be questioning? Whether or not the police should go to the polling stations armed?
Given the circumstances and the history of our election, history is littered with all kinds of incidents. Violence, ballot box snatching, macho men displaying, flexing their machoism and all that. So in anticipation of anything untoward, there's a need for policemen to be armed. But distance is of essence.
Right.
And ensuring that their presence, armed, the very fact that they are at the police station armed will deter, or will help deter, people with who take advantage to indulge their dark impulses at the polls.
But I also think that once it's available, it is likely to be used. And we've seen in previous years that, they did fire guns, in instances where they thought was necessary. And sometimes it wasn't even the police, So the question is really, I think it's interesting. We should.
When it comes to the use of firearms, the police will testify, and all of us will testify that the armed men, our armed men, are not whiter than white, purer than pure.
Yeah.
Some miscreants,
there's always some bad nuts in there.
Bad nuts, and they see the bandits of their professionalism.
I'll circle back to you. Apia Dankwa.
Yeah, so back again on the, what's it called? On the peace pact issue.
Okay.
I think there can't be an argument as to democracy being the only alternative, really. As the only choice in terms of governance. I mean, we all saw how the military dictatorships created a system where our right to life, our right to liberties, our right to pursue our happiness was hindered because that system can't guarantee us the rule of law. We all agree that. And we all agree that the only system of government that can guarantee us the rule of law, which is the only way in which our inalienable right to life, liberty, and personal happiness can be guaranteed, is if we entrench democracy. It is for these reasons why I'm saying that to sustain democracy, you understand, the answer is not in peace. Is not in peace pacts. You understand? It is just doing something to represent something. Not really. What we need is to build, the right culture, to build the right institutions that would guarantee us that right political culture. And what political culture am I talking about here? The right political culture, which is participatory, which is the only way in which we can sustain this democracy. And it becomes really critical because of the ends of democracy.
Are you saying that democracy we're practicing is not participatory enough?
No. Our political culture is very parochial. I don't think we can have an argument about that. The political culture in this country is very, very parochial. And that's why some of us believe that indeed what we are practicing isn't a democracy, it is a kakistocracy. And it has become a kakistocracy because of that parochial political culture we've created in this country. Because people we put in power, when they are put in a position to make decisions, I don't think we can have an argument that their sole consideration is what is in it for me. Is
it because we, the citizens, enable them to continue in that?
Exactly. That's the political culture I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because you need a political culture that one would tolerate open disagreement. And that's what I'm saying. Why should people die in an exercise that essentially is you going to express your opinion? Two, you need a political culture that will hold political leadership accountable at all levels. We don't have that. No, we
Some
don't.
would argue that we do.
No, we don't at all.
Syria or OSP and the rest.
No, we don't at all. No, but
we pour out in the streets to demonstrate, to register our displeasure against certain things.
She's not at the level that can sustain democracy. Okay. Did you see the last Afro Barometer report? Yes. Were you not worried? And also, when you take the Abraham Lincoln's definition of what democracy is, there are three strands to it. Democracy is power of the people, power by the people, and power for the people. My argument is that the democracy we are practicing is just a power of the people. It's just an election democracy. We just go and as a queue and vote. Beyond that, can you argue and say that this democracy is power by the people when we have failed to build a realistic, decentralized system? Yes, because our democracy's focus must be to include the people of this country at all levels of political decision making.
I think it comes down to constitutional review, because what is in our constitution is what we are practicing, right? Whatever rights the constitution spells out for the executive, that is the power that they wield over us. Whatever rights the constitution spells out for us as citizens and how much we can participate in the democratic dispensation of the country is what we go by.
Our constitution indeed, our constitution is, in my view, in terms of we participate, is not the problem. Because when you go to the directive principle of state policy, the political objective, and with your permission, I'll read one of the...
Please make it brief.
Brief. So when you go to say, towards achievement of the objective stated in clause 5 of the article, the state shall make appropriate measures to, when you come to see, make democracy a reality by decentralizing the administrative and financial machinery of government to the regions and districts, and by affording all possible opportunities to the people to participate in decision-making at every level in national life and government. What our system, in terms of how we have interpreted it and then applied, is to reduce the decision-making to, like I'm saying, weakening. We have not done fiscal decentralization. And so because of that, power has not flowed down. It must be from the bottom up. And unless we do that, you understand, then we can't sustain this democracy. And the peace pact, you understand, cannot be used to replace a failure to build the institutions, the structures, and the culture that will sustain democracy.
Points well made. Thank you. Kwame Nkrumah.
Thank you, Suti. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it all boils down to our constitution.
Yeah.
You know, the Consultative Assembly in 1992, when they were drawing up the constitution, merged the UK Westminster system with the US system. Yeah. And these two systems have their advantages and disadvantages. We have tried it for about 30 years, more than 30 years now. And the constitutional review is very important because so much power is given to the executive that it makes it very difficult to practice the democracy as it should be. This decentralization, I have to give credit to His Excellency, the late Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. He tried his best to decentralize as much as possible. You understand me? He came very close to what the CPP used to have. You understand me? And if you look at the CPP's policies as outlined by our flag bearer, she talks about government at your doorstep. And she even says it in tree. Baby auto abano, eho na wa banwo. Baby auto abano, eho na wa banwo. Giving everybody a say where your polling station is, the CPP is going to set up satellite offices. You have a grievance, you go there. That is how it should be. Apia Danko has said something very important. It said decentralization. This decentralization is totally missing. It's totally missing. Now the executive, and I would say mostly the executive, I would say the other branches of government are not so much to blame as the executive. And who wields power at the executive? But we the politicians, it is time that we ceded the power that is for the people, by the people, to them. The people should be able to practice that democracy. And coming to the second one about the police armed at the police station. I was privileged to be present at the meeting that the IGP had with the political parties.
Right.
And there was a closed door meeting. And I would say that, I will not give details, but there is a very good reason why the police are unarmed at the polling stations. You know, the police now
armed or unarmed?
Unarmed. They will be unarmed. It's not armed. The briefing we got is that they will be unarmed at the polling station. Because what the police nowadays wants to encourage is more of soft skills rather than the brutal jungle warfare kind of thing. I would say that more of the UK system of policing as against the US system of policing where they are armed everywhere, arresting teenagers and all that. So that is what the IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, wants to do, and I think it's a step in the right direction. But without giving too much detail, it does not mean that we should be afraid that in the event that there is a problem, they are not prepared. I will tell you that they are very...
Well, he himself said the police is 95% prepared to deal with anything that comes.
They are extremely prepared. I don't want to give, but they are extremely prepared. So being unarmed is a good thing. Reduce intimidation, have a very conducive atmosphere for Ghanaians to vote in comfort. So.
Well, thank you. Let's get into your paper now, Mr. Monney.
The custodian, Bawumia to win 2024 polls with 50.2%. According to the paper, it's a new survey conducted by Institute of Progressive Governance. Both solutions, Bawumia gives skills to Kayaye. Mahama gives them headpans. Bawumia speaking. Ezra launches Ghana's digital economy and strategy. Jospon Group works for peace and to win souls for Christ. A good one there.
We can do one story. We can get into the details for one.
Latest survey conducted by a policy think tank, the Institute of Progressive Governance, has indicated that Vice President Bawumia MPP will win the 2024 general election in the first round with 50.2%. Dr. Bawumia's main contender, ex-President Mahama, will come second with 47.3% if elections were held between October 15 and November 15, 2024. And this was fed to the media by Professor Isaac Boedi.
Right.
Yeah, so this is what the paper is saying, and this story has been replicated, satirically placed in several front pages, and it tells you, the agenda. And I believe, as far as some of us are concerned, the best validation of such service will happen next week, Saturday.
Thank you, because I was going to say that I've seen what happened in America, and I want to take any survey that comes out with a pinch of salt, because the surveys before the Americans went to the polls were saying that it was a very keenly contested. You know, it was Harris's to win than Trump's to lose, and then we are surprised on the day of elections. I mean, Trump himself started, should I say, worrying about rigging, and then once he started leading, he went all quiet. So these polls, well, that is what they say. I want to just...
This is what they say, yeah, this is what they say. And we can also square this with other polls, which have scored for Mahama, Fitch Solutions, Global Info Analytics, and Economic Intelligence Unit of the UK. But once again, the validation of all these surveys will be determined next week, Saturday.
Okay, we only have 8 days to go.
8 days to go.
Yeah. Apia Dankwa, do you have any quick reflections on this, or we can get into your paper?
I think you said it all. The most important pool is what will happen next week. I don't want to waste executive time speaking about it.
All right, let's get into your paper.
So it's a Ghanaian publisher, and I think the headline news is Debate Me on Economy. If Bawumia slams Mahama for not understanding data. Avoid violence at all costs. Peace Council to MPP NDC. Then Nick Danso, Ghana Link grab International Business Awards. Then Bagbin NDC hold government hostage. Afino Maken slams speaker. JJ demands safety of journalists. Condemns invasion of Metro TV. I think I want to briefly read the Debate Me on Economy.
Okay.
The Vice President and the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahama and Bawumia, has fiercely responded to former President John Mahama's criticism of the current government.
Is that the publisher? Sorry, I need to know what.
Yeah, it's the publisher.
Okay.
The publisher. Government challenging him to a public debate on the economic performance. Dr. Bawumia described Mahama's claims of MPP failure as baseless, arguing that the data points a starkly different picture.
No, it can end there. We know the story. Yeah.
So,
what do you think about it?
Well, so in 2016, Anado proposed what I call the Hattarization theory. Signal Hatta.
Interesting.
Hattarization of the city.
I was going to ask you, is that a word?
Hattarization, Signal Hatta. And then he promoted Bawumia as the messiah of the city. Indeed, Bawumia himself said, listen, you can do all the propaganda you want. If the exchange, if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. The president also, as in 2012, said $1
one seed
and a president for, and males $1 to 2 seed males Mahama, and he would have expected that President Mahama, His Excellency, would resign, but because of the envelope under the table. So I'm wondering on what leg does His Excellency, Dr. Bawumia, having breached all the economic principles, including the principle of Hattarization, including Economy 101, that says that the safest place to place your monies is with the government bonds. Right now, $12 billion of citizens' money have been lost, in stark contrast to this beautiful Economy 101 principle. So on what leg? I'm wondering, on what leg does that?
Do you think we are not hearing the NPP out fairly? Do you think because the economy is hard, or we are not? I like to say that I think it's two different realities, right? There are people who are making steady progress and in fact flourishing in this economy, and there are the other people, should I say middle class and lower, who are feeling the pinch, right? Do you think that maybe we are not hearing them out? Because if they're set to debate Mahama, they must. But if a blind person says he will stone you, it means he's probably standing on a stone. If the NPP are vehemently, ready and calling for a debate, maybe they have something that we are not aware of.
Debate. His Excellency Bawumia himself told us in 20. Just look at the Shawasi trim.
No, they've changed it. Now,
I'm very consistent. So you see, they don't have anything. They would want to rely on propaganda. Just $12 billion that Ghanaians people have lost. They wanted to spend it and say that they have saved Ghana 12 billion. That's propaganda. And we need to wise up. We need to think about the country. We need to think about the collective and take a decision. That's in the interest of the country. And that decision will be not to be swayed by, like, as in a blind man. No. We have to suck them and make them know.
But I think going forward, debate should be embedded in the culture of presidential election in this country.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Maybe.
I agree on you. I agree with you on that.
Both sides should agree. And,
so that's if your promises are hata like democratization. I'm sorry. Okay, Kwame Nkrumah. If you have quick reflections in about 30 seconds, but we'll get into your main paper.
Yes, I would take two things from the Skills to Career program. I always say that the bottom-up approach is the best for any country. If you are going to move forward, think of the masses. Think of the most hungry man. Think of the one on the street. Once that person is comfortable, has some skills, is well-fed, has shelter, everything else will follow. We concentrate too much on the top. You understand me? So I'm always touched when I hear such stories, even though it's from the opposing side. I mean, I'm not an MPP supporter, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
Certainly, yes. Capacitating and enhancing the.
And another one too, we have some people in the business community. You know, in Ghana, there are a lot of people behind the scenes who are doing a lot, as much as governments do. And one of the companies I must congratulate is Ghana Link and Nick Danso. They are doing amazing work, especially at the harbour. I've been following them occasionally. And I think all other entrepreneurs, they shouldn't give up. We know that the tax regime and other systems is very difficult. But God willing, with the change in government coming next month, everything
CPP government?
CPP government.
Okay, let's get into it. I think you have the daily guide.
Yes. So the daily guide, if you go to page 6, it speaks of Ursula launches Ghana's digital economy.
Right.
Anything digital excites me. I mean, you saw him, my friend quoting his constitution from. I mean, he carries all the information here. And I'm all for digital economy.
Well, it's the fourth industrial revolution.
Exactly. Yeah. But however, the situation on the ground is not as is being presented. Now, you even do a search at Lands Commission offices outside Accra, not even Accra. And for more than 1 month, the search report is not ready. And they tell us every document has been scanned, everything has been digital.
But we're told that their systems had been modernized and digitized.
Exactly. Now you go, they tell you network, come in 2 weeks, come in this, come in that, and it's terrible. So this digitization, I think it's just digitization on paper. In reality, there's nothing. Please, I think they should stop deceiving us. In reality, there's nothing.
I know a lot of people who disagree with you, Kwame Nkrumah.
Well, I in my experience.
In terms of DVLA, passports, the processes to acquire passports, I think that to some extent, the digitization and digitalization agenda is actually taking effect.
Regarding the DVLA, I think about a few weeks, I myself commended the DVLA right here. I think before you joined up. So we have a right at certain places, but other places too must follow suit.
Wow.
And another story.
Please, we have
my
to
last
go,
story.
so
my last story is page 11 of the paper. It says that CJ inspires you through enhanced mentoring program. I think it's a step in the right direction. Our Chief Justice is one of the most dynamic Chief Justices we've ever had. Outside the courtroom, she does so much to encourage the youth, to encourage society. It's a step in the right direction. I would want to commend her leadership for it.
I'll come to you for your final words in 30 seconds each. I just want to read out the headlines on these papers. The Daily Searchlight, tell us your plans to combat kids on the streets problem. That's streetism. Civil society demands from NDC and NPP. Jospon Group, Zoom Lion, preach peace, stability, and win souls. GJA condemns Gestapo invasion at Metro TV. The Punch newspaper on election 2024, Kogai accuses EC of bias. Joanna Jan Kujo and John Mahama promise good roads for Amenfi Central. NDC will never cancel free SHS, says Mahama. And physical well-being of Ghanaians are priority. This is the Meridian. It says, your ignorance in economic data explains your terrible economic record. Bawumia replies to Mahama. Ghana AIDS Commission grieve over lack of funds. Yesterday, I read that over 34,000 new cases have come to light when it comes to HIV and AIDS. We should really be careful out there. Ga West Education Directorate honors King Oyanka. These are just some stories here. Pick one for yourself and get into it. Gentlemen, let me start from Apia Dankwa for your final word.
So my final word will be to encourage all Ghanaians that come this week, we should all partake in this very critical exercise that advances the cause of democracy in this country. We shouldn't go and fight. We are just going to express our opinion. Let's go with Ghana in mind and let's go and vote for Ghana. That vote for Ghana will be a vote for Honorable Alan John Kojo Chamantin. That can bring you the great transformation that will lead to the restoration of Ghana as the black star
Although
of
you
Africa.
say that is where our participation ends. It ends with just voting and putting them in power. Okay.
But we should.
Kwame Nkrumah, final word.
In 8 days' time,
Yeah.
Ghanaians have an opportunity to break the 32. Nobody should come and complain to anybody if you fail to break the 32. And the solution is only one vote. CPP needs only one vote. Your vote, the vote for the only woman on the ballot.
Okay.
Let us give meaning to affirmative action. Let us vote for Osagyefos candidate, Nana Akosua Frimpong Sarpong.
Do you think if we go for a runoff, Alan Chamantin, CPP, the other parties, apart from the two major political parties, would be willing to form a coalition government or something, come together under one umbrella to go against that?
It's a very good question. It's a very good
Would
question.
you be willing to do that?
So when we get there, certainly we'll be on that ballot. And once we're on that ballot, Kwame Nkrumah is my friend. In fact, we all come from the same stock. We'll bring all of them.
Okay. Mr. Bonney, your final. You have the last word.
I think a clarion call goes to Ghanaians not to allow the peace pact signed yesterday to ring hollow as the race heads to a close next week. You know, we should internalize the virtues of peace and reflect them. Whatever we do in our pronouncements, in our utterances, whatever we do election related. So the Ghana will be at peace. Ghana will be at peace with itself and the rest of the world after the election.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I just want to end by saying that Saturday, it is your responsibility to go out and vote. I've heard so many people say that they will not. SDA, the SDA people are saying that it's a Sabbath day, blah, blah, blah. But I think religion aside, it is your civic responsibility, all right? Put that first. The country needs you. This is the country calling on you to also participate in the democracy that we practice. Who joined us for News Review? Affail Monney, former president of GJA, lawyer Apia Dankwa from the Movement for Change, and Kwame Nkrumah Botsu, General Secretary of the CPP.
Himself.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us for breakfast.
Thank you, Siti.
Okay, so there's still so much coming your way, starting with Prime Take with Mufta Nabila Abdullahi. But before we go, Medicus Hospital is a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind. And they're reminding you that they bring you the best medicine of all time, simple human empathy and kindness. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you Prime Take with Mufta Nabila Abdullahi.
That's a prof or doc? Anyone is fine. By university standards, it's prof. Prof? Yes, please. Thank you very much for your time. I'm an associate professor of physiotherapy at University of Ghana. So, wow. Yeah. This journey, how did you get to this point, doc? Oh, what a way to start. It's been a very long journey, actually. And, well, like you probably also said a while ago, there were destiny helpers somewhere along the line. I started way back in 1992 when I entered medical laboratory technology. I completed in 1994 and worked in Department of Microbiology in Collywood Hospital for a couple of years. And I got opportunity to go to school, to go and study physiotherapy in the Netherlands. So that's how come I entered physiotherapy. But hitherto, I didn't know much about physiotherapy then, but I think the interest more was probably to go back to school, get an opportunity and to go to school outside the country. So whilst I was searching, this opportunity dropped. I took advantage of it, and like we normally say, the rest is history.
The rest is history. At what point did you begin to fall in love with physiotherapy?
I fell in love with physiotherapy when I started training as a physiotherapist. Because like I said, the truth of the matter is, because I really wanted to go to school, I'd done med lab, and I was looking for an opportunity to go back to school out there. They didn't really show up the way they were supposed to, until this one, which was probably very divine, dropped, and I took advantage of it. So when I started training as a physiotherapist, I found that it was a very exciting profession, really. And I have done almost everything physiotherapy, I mean, up until now anyway. So let me say I started liking or loving physiotherapy when I started training as a physiotherapist, but not before. I didn't know much about physiotherapy at the time,
because
to be honest.
As I mentioned, many of us knew nothing.
I didn't know much about physiotherapy at the time that I wanted to go into physiotherapy. I really wanted to travel to go to school, and that was the strongest motivation.
And going to the school, what was the focus?
Well, the focus at the time, again, was physiotherapy. But if an opportunity in medical laboratory technology had, showed up, I'm sure I would have followed that line. But the opportunity to travel to go to school came in physiotherapy. So that's how come I actually went into physiotherapy.
And why sports physiotherapy?
Well, that's actually a very interesting question. And I was telling my students one day, I love sports, and I did a lot of sports when I was in school. Unfortunately, I was not the best sportsman. I've done high jump, I did 100 meters, I did 200 meters. I thought I was a fast runner, but there were people who were running, who were shorter and smaller than me, who were running faster than me, you know. People were jumping higher than I was. But one thing they couldn't take away from me was soccer. So in soccer, that I excelled. At least I played football throughout my school life whilst I was in Ghana. So I think that because I probably was not a very best sportsman and I didn't get the opportunity to break through into sports, when I finished my undergraduate training in physiotherapy, I found sports an avenue where I think I would really love and thrive. And to the glory of God, I've done a lot in the area of sports physiotherapy in Ghana and even beyond. So I'm actually very happy that I chose it, because there are other branches within physiotherapy that are available for selection.
Yeah.
However, I chose sports, and probably because I didn't do too well in sports back then,
you were hungry to succeed in this area.
So at least I've compensated by doing well in the area of sports physiotherapy.
And okay, so let me ask this question this way. I wanted to take us back to your early days, but the conversation has had a certain trajectory. Normally on Prime Tape, we don't take that trajectory, but I'm just going to stick there. One thing I want to understand, what exactly do physiotherapists, what do they do?
Okay, so physiotherapy is an exciting healthcare profession that has to do with essentially movement and generally lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, so when people have medical conditions, they have injuries, or they have challenges which are more physical,
yeah.
The physiotherapist is one who comes in to make sure that they can get themselves moving appropriately. So physiotherapy has got to do with a lot of movement. So we treat patients or clients from age 0 to the oldest person. And as you may be aware, you know a lot about sports. So when athletes get injured, you know that, okay, they have to go through some rehabilitation to get back.
Yeah.
But when people suffer conditions such as stroke, or people get injuries such as traumatic road traffic accidents, and their muscles and bones are affected, or the nervous system is affected, movement is limited in one way or the other. And this movement will gradually come back based on the knowledge and training that physiotherapists have to get people to move. Of course, it depends on the extent of damage as well. Sometimes we are not able to get the person to move as we would wish. However, it is important to make sure that such patients are not left lying down, and they can develop all sorts of problems, including pressure sores, breathing difficulties. So there are things we'll do for some of these clients to make sure that they are in good shape, even though they are probably unable to move.
There are sometimes, we often have many misconceptions about what physiotherapy is all about, right? Maybe there might be someone out there who believes that, oh, if I get injured, I'll just go and see the local herbsman to just stretch my legs and I'll be fine again.
Well, I think you have actually described it very correctly. It's probably a good description as misconception. The body has its ways as far as movement is concerned. So when injuries occur, by virtue of the training of physiotherapy, there's a lot of anatomy, which is muscle and bone, blood vessels, nerves.
Now we are speaking science.
Yes, that are taught to the students who become physiotherapists eventually.
Yeah.
So they have a very good understanding of what may have happened as a result of that particular injury. And let's not also forget that it's possible that the client or patient we are talking about would have gone through a physician who probably would have also had his own assessment, would have done some other tests, which could be helpful in the treatment that the physiotherapist is eventually going to offer the patient. So if you go and see the herbalist, or you go and see, whatever they call them, whether they're traditionalists or their background as far as, the body is concerned, I'm sorry to say, is not at the level at which somebody who was trained as a physician or was trained as a physiotherapist is concerned. They wouldn't understand what exactly the problem is. Of course, some of the things they have done in the past seems to work, but then those who believe in those things eventually come to us sometimes, and we give them finality to whatever their conditions may be. It's also possible that what may have developed would not yield the needed results that is expected. It's a human body.
Yeah.
Certain things may have gone wrong, or certain structures may have been damaged, and it may not allow full recovery as the case may be. So, there are intricacies. So probably we'll have to look at it that way. So misconception, I think I do agree with you, but I think that if I look at where we are now, and with this opportunity you're also giving me, which I think a lot of physiotherapists will be excited about, I think that there's a lot of, probably let me say, health education we need to do with regards to the profession physiotherapy, and a lot of advocacy, because there are people who actually, when it comes to sports, end some sportsmen's career because of the kind of treatment they offer these sportsmen.
This conversation is centered on sports, so definitely we'll switch to the sports angle.
Sure.
But you mentioned something quite critical, which has to do with, when I say you were talking about science, the anatomy of the person, right? So if I begin to feel like some physical pain, what is that first thing that I have to do?
Well, I think
maybe I'm in the house, I slept in my bathroom. Do I need to see some specialist, or we play street football all the time? I go out there, I go get injured. What are some of the first things that I need to do?
Well, first of all, usually it depends on the severity of what you are talking about.
Yeah.
There are issues that may arise.
But first aid, just the first aid.
Yes, so the body has a way of always responding to some of these things.
Yeah.
Of course, that's what we call inflammation. When the injury occurs, of course, there's inflammation, a little bit of swelling here, there's heat. You know, those are the things we give 2 to 3 days to see whether it will resolve by itself or it begins to resolve. By the 3rd day, if it's not resolving, of course, then you need to pay attention to that. No, you need to give it better attention. Those first 3 days, maybe you want to take the normal paracetamol, or you want to apply ice, which helps the swelling to come down, pain to go down. It's normal. So like I said, depending on the severity. Otherwise, by the 2nd or 3rd day, I mean, if you're not getting good results, I mean, your antenna should go up and say, no, you need to seek proper attention as far as this injury is concerned. So you can walk in to see a physician, you can walk in to see a physiotherapist. Physiotherapists, fortunately, are actually first contact practitioners. So if you bring the condition, we can look at it. If it is not the type that we have to look at, we'll quickly let you know that no, you have to see a physician for other additional information, additional tests, or additional investigations that may warrant you to come back to us or go in a different tangent as far as the treatment is concerned. So the first 2 to 3 days are actually very critical. Beyond that, your antenna should go up.
Are there some myths about physiotherapy? And can you clarify them? Do we have some myths in there?
Oh. I don't think there's a myth around physiotherapy like that, because it's actually a healthcare profession.
Okay.
But what I would rather want to think is that it is the patients or the populace who probably have a certain perception which probably can be a myth in their eyes.
Then it takes that back to the misconception.
As far as physiotherapy is concerned, yes. Because, well, before now, you hear people saying that, oh, especially people who have suffered cardiovascular accidents, which you call stroke, so, oh, he's going for massage. Oh, he's going for massage. But when a stroke patient comes to physiotherapy, we are not massaging, I mean, the patient. There's a lot of neurological things that have gone wrong that physios have actually learned that they will use to offer treatment to get the patients to be able to achieve a certain level of independence, depending on the extent of injury that may have occurred as a result of the stroke. So stroke, people say, oh, he's going for massage. Oh, she's going for massage. But a stroke patient goes for physiotherapy, it's not about massage.
What do you do?
There's a lot we do. I mean, you have to understand how the body's mechanism works when the neurological pathway is affected. Is the neurological pathway that is affected when you get a cardiovascular accident, which is called a stroke. So understanding that aspect of it will influence what you want to do to the weak part of the body, either left or right, upper and lower, depending on what may have the extent of injury, that would actually go into the treatment. Okay, so that is for us. That's what we do in the clinic. But it's based on the knowledge that we have as far as the science is concerned. And when it's stroke, it's more of a neurological problem. So the treatment is more of a neuro type of rehabilitation.
Doc, we are not talking medical stuff, but I need to ask this question because my viewers out there will be quite disappointed if I do not ask this question. So when you begin to sense this in an individual, maybe a stroke, is there first aid that you can do before you get the person to a physiotherapist?
Well, I think there are signs, and these are some of the things we see a lot on social media. They will tell you that, oh, I mean, if you feel this, or you perceive certain things. I mean, they are quite categorical, and people who have actually specialized in the area of neuro will tell you. But of course, naturally, it happens most of the time to people who have issues with blood pressure. Okay, so you should be aware. I mean, you should be very conscious of how often you are checking your blood pressure. If the blood pressures are high, quickly you must inform your physician that your blood pressures have actually gone abnormally high. Otherwise, if you are not looking, that is when it will arise. So there are different stories. You pass out, you feel weak in one area, but you get signs, okay? But if you are very smart about it, you have to call for the needed attention. But then the most important thing is if you have high blood pressure issues, you must be very careful and regular in checking the blood pressures from time to time. And it also impinges on the kind of things that you can do and you cannot do. I mean, so that it doesn't affect your blood pressure.
Earlier, I asked a question about pain. Going out there to play football, I get injured. Yes, I said going out there to play football, I get injured, and what should I do? Physiotherapists, how do you manage chronic pain?
Okay, so...
because it is going to usher me into something.
Chronic pain is pain we describe as pain that has lasted for a little over 12 weeks.
Okay.
Pain within the first 3, 4, 6 weeks could arise because of an injury or a musculoskeletal problem that one has. But if it persists for 12 weeks or more, then you would want to describe it
as a chronic one.
As chronic. Okay. So when pain arises and it is in the acute phase, maybe I just have to use the opportunity to also tell your viewers that when it's in the acute phase, the first option is not heat. Because in the acute phase, you have heat, you have swelling, you have redness. So naturally, you have to cool the place. That's why in sports we use a lot of ice.
Oh, okay.
So acute pain is usually handled with mostly cooling agents. And that's why you see the spray that people describe as magic spray. It's also a cooling agent.
Oh, okay.
It's much faster than the ice, depending on what the situation is on the field.
Okay.
But if the pain has persisted, and like I said, beyond 12 weeks, then of course, it has become chronic, and whatever it is must be properly investigated so that it can be given the needed attention. But of course, the body's reaction to certain things can also get into the situation where the pain becomes chronic. So with chronic pain, you are most likely to want to treat it with heat. So this is the big difference. So when the pain becomes chronic, you are most likely to want to treat it with heat. When you treat it with cold, you won't get the same results you get when it is acute. So a lot of chronic pain can be treated with heat. But let me be quick to say that physiotherapy has to do a lot with our hands. So there are quite a number of manipulations and mobilizations that can be done when people have actually got into the situation where their pain has become chronic. But of course, like I said, it has to be investigated. You need to understand why the pain is chronic. Then it will inform the kind of treatment that you have to offer, which a lot would depend on our hands. And then you apply some heat as well. The heat usually would soothe the soft tissues, which is the muscle, the skin, and it will enhance, blood circulation. Sometimes with chronic pain, some form of blood circulation also helps, because once the blood moves away from where the pain is, it brings new blood to the area, and then it soothes the place, and the pain also would naturally go down, aside what you would have done with your hands if you understand what the pain actually is emanating from.
Doc, if I'm coming for a physiotherapy session, or anyone at all, let me say my crew, or anyone out there wants to come for a physiotherapy session, what are some of those first things that the person should expect?
Well, when you come for a physiotherapy session, it's just like you've been to any clinic. You are taking in the history of the condition you are presenting is taken, and then an objective assessment would be conducted, which means that you would look, will feel, and will move that particular part of the body where you are complaining about whatever it is, for us to have an understanding of what your condition is. So when the history is taken, we do a subjective and objective assessment. Then we come up with a physical diagnosis. We actually diagnose what the problem is. And it's a physical diagnosis. It's not a medical diagnosis. So the physical diagnosis is actually going to help you to plan your treatment. And when you're able to plan your treatment, then you can now intervene. And when you intervene, you actually keep evaluating, and then you modify as and when necessary, so that you can get the outcomes that are expected as far as the treatment is concerned.
Is it beneficial for someone without an injury, physiotherapy?
Yes. Like I said, I mean, we treat people from age 0 to the oldest. So I'm sure you may have come across children who have weakness in their arms as a result of birth. Sometimes they develop something called, I think, spina bifida. So some children have difficulty walking when they start growing. Some children have very serious bow legs, which you call genovarus.
So the bow legs we see like this?
Yes. So there's a lot that is done for such children at the children's unit. The physicians have a lot of input, and the physiotherapists also have a lot of input. So yeah, we treat, like I said, from age 0 to the oldest person. The old people may fall, they break their bones, they have to walk again. Mid-age people may suffer some medical conditions, they become weak, they have to be strong, they have to walk again. Sportsmen suffer injuries, they have to come back to sports. So it's actually a wide range that is usually covered. So that's why I said from age 0 to the oldest person. People become frail as a result of the aging process. You want to keep them active. They will come see their physiotherapist. So we're actually supposed to be very busy people, as it were. But because of the level of understanding of the profession in country, I think sometimes we have time. But
is this something that generally in Ghana, many people actually patronize?
Yes. If you go to a lot of the government hospitals, the physiotherapists are actually very, very busy. They are very busy.
But sometimes I might just walk in and I need a physiotherapist. Me, I just walk in because I'm not feeling too well. My body is paining me. I'm not too okay. Then, you need some bit of physiotherapy.
Sure,
right? But
sure.
If you do not have knowledge about it to know that, okay, as I'm going to the hospital, I need to go and see a physiotherapist. You just walk in blindly.
Well, I mean, I think the nice thing about physiotherapy too is that, I mean, it's because it's part of, I mean, the orthodox healthcare delivery system.
Yeah.
I mean, the physicians also understand, I mean, what physiotherapists can do for clients. So we get a lot of referrals from physicians as well. Okay. So if, like I said earlier, your antenna is quite high and you're not too sure what it is, and you even walk in to see the physician, and I mean, he sees you, he knows that, oh, this one is a physiotherapy problem. He just asks you to go and see the physiotherapist.
Okay.
So if you are not very well informed about physiotherapy and you don't walk to the physiotherapist, once you go to the physician, he will refer you to come and see the physiotherapist.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's one of the misconceptions. I mean, that physiotherapists,
you massage us,
only would carry out a massage for you when you come to see them. But it's far from the truth, and massage is actually a very small part of the treatment that we offer. When it's necessary to massage certain parts of the body, we would massage, but the key or the thrust of the treatment is not on massage. It doesn't dwell on massage. There's a lot more we do, and like I said, a lot of what we do is with our hands. And let me also just be quick to say that we offer a lot of therapeutic exercises. So therapeutic exercises to build strength, therapeutic exercises to build endurance. So if it's a muscular problem, yes, strength and endurance. Cardiorespiratory comes in, that's the heart and the lungs. When people who are taken in at the cardio center, for instance, who have breathing challenges, who have heart-related problems, they will also benefit from physiotherapy. So in the hospital setting, for instance, physiotherapists visit almost every ward within the hospital. The physicians will call. They will call from obs and gynae. They will call from pediatrics. They will call from chest clinic. They will come from the fevers unit. They will call from the orthopedic unit. We are everywhere within the hospital setting. So, of course, I mean, if you've gone to the hospital setting and you need physiotherapy, you could be referred to go and see a private practitioner. But once you are in the hospital setting, almost every aspect of every branch within the hospital can benefit from physiotherapy. And the physicians know, and therefore they call for the physiotherapist. So in Korle Bu, for instance, where I practice and I've practiced a lot, I mean, almost every ward has a physiotherapist assigned to that particular ward, including burns. We go to the burns unit as well. Yes. So physiotherapy is actually once it has got to do with movement, I mean, you'll find a physiotherapist there.
Wow. Doc, no, now, Prof.
No worries.
We've mentioned the docs.
I know.
But now let me bring you back home, right?
Yes. To my specialty.
I'm going to talk about your specialty in a bit. We've seen you rise to become a professor. But how did it all begin? What was your upbringing like?
Upbringing. Well, I mean, normal upbringing that any child will go through. Your parents will insist that you have to go to school. So, I mean, I had to go through the schooling system. I became very interested in science. So, I mean, you know, when you go to the secondary school, I'm from the old school anyway. I did O and A level. So, I mean, getting into Form 4, I branched into science. So I did science and all the way to the advanced level, ordinary level, advanced level. And then I found myself reading medical laboratory technology in Korle Bu. Like I said, an opportunity to bring people into physiotherapy actually became more or less urgent because there were few physiotherapists within country at the time. So 18 of us were selected from in-country again, and almost all of us were already practicing health professionals to go and follow a training for a very intense period to come back and beef up the shortage of human resource as far as physiotherapy was concerned, and the commencement of training at University of Ghana for physiotherapy. So briefly, that's my upbringing, and I want to give a lot of kudos to my parents who made sure that I had to go to school. And although I struggled a little bit somewhere along the line, because of course there were challenges here and there, especially with regards to the finances, but I didn't relent, and gradually, having broken through into the physiotherapy profession, today I find myself here as an associate professor.
Your family, your parents were well-to-do?
No, please. No, please. I said that. I said that already.
How they able to produce a professor?
That is what everybody will refer to as humble beginnings. So not the very best financial background to push as quickly as was needed. But I mean, they made sure that I stayed in line with education.
They could afford the basics.
They could afford the basics. So I did my best until the advanced level. But advanced level was quite challenging, and that's how come I veered into the area of health, medical laboratory technology.
It was quite challenging, right?
How
many siblings do you have? You're an only child, so your parents pumped all the resources.
No. I'm not the only child. So, well, let me just spill the beans. Polygamous family. My father had 4 wives.
Oh wow! Hey, I need to come and see your father. He has to inspire me. My ambition is to marry 4.
My father had 4 wives. My mother was the last, so I was the 10th of 11 children. So, if I'm allowed to say, I'm an Abedipele or an Dede Ayu, because I wear number 10. But we're actually a team of 11. So
4 wives, 10 children.
4 wives and 11 children.
11 children.
Yes, 11 children.
Your father know they produce.
You know they produce.
My father had 3 and gave birth to over 20 of us.
Yeah. So like I said, so humble beginnings. I struggled a little bit with my advanced level, and that's how come I veered into the area of laboratory technology, but I still stay focused. And then when the opportunity to go back to school and do physiotherapy came in, I actually put my leg on the accelerator and I made sure I went through.
Ghana for Mechachiamo. Wezo, thank you for joining the conversation. And today I'm going to be very quick, just like last week, because there's a lot to digest. But I'm continuing, like I told you last week, on Blunt Thoughts, my manifesto series, helping you read between the lines ahead of election 2024. So today I'm bringing you part 2 of my manifesto series, helping you read between the lines ahead of election 2024. I just want to start from this premise. The latest African Economic Outlook released by the African Development Bank Group has detected what it describes as desynchronization between economic growth performance and sustainable development, which suggests that Africa's current developmental model is not fit for purpose. That includes Ghana. According to the document, the existing development model, which relies heavily on resource extraction without value addition, urgently requires a complete overhaul if the continent is to catch up with other regions. In fact, quoting them, they say the urgency is such that under a business as usual scenario, it could take today African countries more than a century on average, that is about 180 years, or a median of 86 years, to transition to a high income status. That's according to the report. Africa remains the second most economically unequal region in the world after Latin America and the Caribbean. Why am I setting the tone for the conversation with this? I'm telling you this because as we go to the polls, we must look ahead, look into the future. We are about a century behind as a continent. When are we going to catch up? The people in the other jurisdictions we try to emulate and all of that, they are far ahead of us. It means their children will be ahead of yours. It means their development will be ahead of yours. It means their life, human development index, how long even they live. And it shows. Go to the indices. Look at the life expectancy in Ghana, in other parts of Africa. Compare that to some of those developed countries. We need to do more. Health, education, and all of these. And that is why I'm starting from the standpoint today of governance and corruption. Come to the slides with me. Now, the MPP versus the NDC. We are juxtaposing their manifestos. 3 key areas we are looking at today. If you look at the number of promises on these areas, the MPP has 41 in the current manifesto. The NDC has 33 in its current manifesto. Let's get the details. Next slide. We're going very quickly, so stay with me. The number of promises in there, 19 as far as corruption only corruption. 19 for the MPP, NDC 15. And we know some of what was said when Nana Addo Akufo-Addo was becoming, he was contesting to be president about corruption and everything. 19 and 15. But if you go to governance, the similar tickets, this is what they have to say. Don't worry, I'll go back to corruption. We're taking it step by step. What is the MPP saying? They say in dealing with the governance issues, they will cap the number of ministers at 50. They will initiate a process of reforms on ex gratia payments. That they will reinitiate the process of getting MMDCEs elected. They will pass the Conduct of Public Officers Bill and amend the SIGA Act to reflect the new rules. There are similarities because if you look at the NDC's manifesto as well, they say they'll reduce the size of government to 60. That is ministers. Scrap payment of ex gratia. Here they say what? Initiate a process of reform. They say they will scrap it. Elect MMDCs on a non-partisan basis. These ones say they will reinitiate the process of getting MMDCs elected. They say we'll go straight for elections. Pass the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, amend the SIGA Act to reflect the new rules. Similar. Next slide. Then the top 5 promises. of the MPP on governance, cap the number of ministers at 50, reinitiate the process of getting MMDCs elected through universal adult suffrage, delink the creation of districts from constituencies to end the automatic increments in the size of parliament. So once that happens, then there will be more members of parliament. Pay living allowances to paramount chiefs, divisional chiefs, and queen mothers. I have to stop here on the MPP's manifesto on governance, point 4. Now, over here, right, I feel there's a problem. What is that problem? It could foster patronage. I believe it is a very fertile ground for corruption, this point. A further erosion of the proper role of chiefs and their non-participation in open partisan politics as espoused in our 1992 constitution. This will create a patronage system, this point 4, which will make issues like Galamsey even more problematic and difficult to deal with because these chiefs will feel beholden to and powerless against the system, as well as to specific individuals. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, do you? And that is the problem I have with this. Because already we are trying to decouple. It's not that chiefs shouldn't participate in politics, but partisan politics openly. Now, if you say you're going to pay living allowances to paramount chiefs, divisional chiefs, and queen mothers, what are you doing? We will foster a system of patronage, and so now the chiefs will feel, regardless of who is in power, I am beholden to this person. We don't need that. I don't think so. This is my opinion. Then initiate a process of reforms on ex gratia payment. Let's go to the next one. Now, the top 5 promises of the NDC on governance: reduce the size of government by appointing no more than 60 ministers, scrap ex gratia, realign and merge MDAs to eliminate duplication, address disparities between Article 71 office holders and the wider public service. This has been a long-standing problem. Article 71 office holders, and that feeds into the ex gratia problem. The boons they get versus you and me and others who may be in public service and what they get at the end of the day. Then review the regulatory framework for political party financing. This one here too has been a long-standing problem. And that is also part of why we can't get that third force we've been talking about. Because they simply don't have the mettle. They don't have the wherewithal to be able to deal with the juggernauts like the MPP and the NDC. So this is another thing we really have to look at. But again, even though the NDC is making these important points, we ought to ask, in the past, what have they said? They mentioned some of these before. What happened? So let's give them the benefit of the doubt that these are going to be looked at. What shape, what form is it going to take? These are concerns. Because mind you, how our political parties are financed also affects our governance. You can have some rich person somewhere, maybe a criminal, funding any of these parties. And in the end, when they come to power, they will lobby. And you and I, we will be affected. Next slide. Now, if you look at the top 5 promises of the MPP on corruption, place limits on foreign official travel by ministers, CEOs, and senior civil servants. We tried this at some point. Did it really work? Annually publish the list of all beneficiaries of public scholarships. I like this, especially on the back of some of what we've seen. The Sarah Adwoa Safos and the rest, at their stage, still benefiting from these scholarships, going to Harvard and the rest. I don't have a problem if you want to go to Harvard, but on state funding, seriously? So publishing this list, I agree with it, and it should be consistent. Fully integrate the National Electronic Procurement Platform. Establish an e-marketplace for public procurement similar to Korea's online e-procurement system. I like this as well, but the devil is in the detail. For the sake of time, I'll not go in there. You see, it's nice sometimes you can just look at, oh, they are doing this. Yeah, let's replicate. But do you have the systems? You know, Mr. Digital or Dr. Digital. It's nice that you're talking about all these digital things, but Charlie, let's slow down. Because some of these things, if you look at the originator, the blueprint, versus what we are trying to do, it's not to say it can't be done, but it's the framework there. You don't just go and put up a building. There must be a foundation. Do you have the foundation? That's the question. Enact a Corrupt Practices Act to consolidate all anti-corruption and corruption-related legislation and offenses. That's what the MPP is saying. What's the NDC saying on that point? Let's go to the NDC. Launch Operation Recover All Loot. So this is kind of like President Trump draining the swamp first time, and maybe even this time. All those who have been corrupt and all of that. I pray that happens. If the NDC wins and they don't do this, if they win, we have to hold them to account, right? Because they say they will launch an Operation Recover All Loot. And only God knows some of the scandals that have happened, and nothing fed off from there. Of course, it must be done in a justicial manner, according to the law. But legislation to prohibit political appointees, politically exposed persons, and all serving public officials from purchasing state assets. I completely agree with this. I don't know why till now, up to this point, we've not done this. Makes no sense. Set up an inquiry into the matter of looted state lands. This is another thorny issue. Conduct a forensic audit and an inquiry into the National Cathedral scandal. Another issue. I don't see how we could have pumped that much money into a pit, right? And then set up an independent value for money office to scrutinize government procurements above $5 million as Parliament may decide. But why $5 million? Because this could still lead to corruption. Then people will find ways of, getting contracts that are below the sum of money, which means then it will fall below the bar of scrutiny. Yes, there are some measures to scrutinize, but if you say this, then how about those less than $5 million? What are we saying? I think it should encompass everything. No matter, even if it's one cedi, $1, and it's going to you. Let's deal with it. Now, if you come to the legend, right? All right, so let's go back a bit. Let's go back a bit. Let's go back a bit. It appears we're going forward instead of good. So let's go to the next slide now. If you look at Ghana's corruption index score trend, the indices, you would see that, and 0 is the lowest, 100 is the highest, right? In 2012, 45 under Mahama, 46 in 2013, 48 in 2014, 47 in 2015, 43 in 2016, 40 in 2017. Of course, the higher you go, you know what that means. The better, right? But then you come to 2017, it falls to 40, right? And then it starts climbing again. 2018, 41, 2019, 41. Then we hit 43, and we've been there practically ever since. Up to what? 2023, this year. If you look at the trend, and that is why sometimes the NDC will say that, their worst score is the MPP's best score. But if you look at the tail of the tape, we are not doing well. We are not doing well when it comes to corruption. Honestly, we are not. We're still in the 40s. We've not got out of it. There's not been a monumental shift in terms of our corruption score. But if you do the math, let's go to the next slide. If you do the math, again, 0 being the lowest, 100 being the highest, you would realize that the average score, when you take the MPP and the NDC, blue being the MPP, 42, average score for the NDC, 43.5. If you pick the lowest score, 40 for the MPP, for the NDC, 39. The highest score, though, here, 43 for the MPP, 48 for the NDC. And if you do the net after 7 years, so before and after, that is what we're doing. The net score after 7 years, you would get a 0 score for the MPP and 2 for the NDC. In other words, while you may say that one is slightly above the other, I don't see much of a shift. It should be drastic. We should see a major difference, especially for a government that campaigned on managing the economy and dealing with corruption. Next slide. Then you look at the biggest anti-corruption tickets. The MPP is saying Office of the Special Prosecutor. In fact, as far as that is concerned, there's no mention of it in their 2024 manifesto. It's missing. We've done it. Again, the NDC too. National Anti-Corruption Action Plan launched by Mahama as Vice President in December 2009, but there's no mention of this in the 2024 manifesto. Why? Why? To both political parties. Next slide. Then you look at anti-corruption agencies or ministries or departments and the focus on Shraj. We'll look at a number of them. If you look at the first year of the MPP versus the 8th year, in millions of Ghana cedis, 46 million was given to Shraj. Then it was increased. In the 8th year, we are looking at 88.3 million. That's an increment of 91.95%. But if you come to the NDC, when it comes to Shraj, 4.2 million in their first year, okay? I'm talking about, and then if you come to the 8th year, by the 8th year, it had shot up to 30.5 million, accounting for an increment of 626.19%. It's not so much in the figures, because if you look at 88 versus 30, but it's about the increment over time, the quantum. Next slide. That is for Shraj. And I'm doing this so that you can sit down and make your own assessment. How we have treated the different anti-corruption agencies, whether we've done enough for them. You've heard the OSP cry. Are we doing enough for them to actually make them work? Then you come to the audit service, 2009 to 2016, and then 2017 to 2024. So this is 2009 to 2016. You will see that the NDC, first year, they gave 24.6 million. By their last year, they were given 140 million, 469% increment. If you come to the MPP, first year, 2017, 186.5 million. So that's an increment on the 140 million, about 46.5 million, right? By their 8th year, 633.7 million. That accounts for 239.8% in terms of increment. Next slide. The next body we are looking at, the Attorney General's office, or the AG's office, right? Now, if you look at 2009 to 2016 versus 2017 to 2024, here it's interesting because in the first year, 118 million, but by the 8th year auditing, you had 1,560, right? In millions of Ghana cedis, that's like 1.56 billion. That's a 1,222% increment. But when it comes to the NDC, in their first year, 15 million. In the 8th year, 74.7. That's a 398% increment. In this situation, you would see that more had been committed to this enterprise audit, right? Next slide. Then you have the constitutional review exercise. I bring it up because both parties have spoken about it. You remember the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission and everything in between. Till today, we've done nothing with that document. Absolutely nothing. And both parties are at fault. If you look at the committee size, we had 9 people, including my very own Professor Raymond Atuguba. Public submissions, 50,000. The cost to us, taxpayer, $6 million. $6 million. Next slide. Next slide, please. Now, if you go to the implementation, the NDC, 2010 to 2016, 6 years. Yes, they started a white paper, and then there are claims that some things happened and pushbacks and all of that. The bottom line is no implementation, zero implementation. So when these parties talk about these things and come and, oh yeah, we will, why didn't you when you had the opportunity? But how about the MPP? An even more glorious opportunity because, yes, you've had all this period. What was done about it? Also nothing. 7 years, no implementation till today. So the $6 million we spent, who should come and pay for it? Who should pay for it? Next slide. Then, what is the NDC's track record when it comes to this constitutional review? 2010, follow-up on the implementation of the Constitutional Review Committee. 2016, implement government white paper on Constitutional Review Committee. 2020, follow up the implementation of the Constitutional Review Committee. And 2024, establish Constitutional Review Implementation Committee. If you look at the manifestos, these are some of the things they've been telling us. You can say that, well, after this point, they didn't have the opportunity to be in government. But can we trust them if they get power to implement it? That's the question. You answer that for yourself. Next slide. Next slide. And if you go to the selected governance tickets when it comes to the election of MMDCEs, now, it started in 2017, stalled in 2019. The NDC has no record. The constitutional reviews, no record for the MPP. The NDC started one in 2010, but the implementation failed. They passed the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, introduced the Asset Declaration in 2017, but NDC, no record. Let's go very quickly. Next slide. Now, you look at mining, and this is a crucial point, right? And these will go very quickly. The next NPP government will, according to the MPP, ensure the application, processing, and licensing of small-scale mining ends at the Minerals Commission. Bus stop. That is what they are saying. Feasible? You decide. Next slide. The next MPP government will scale up the use of the mercury-free gold catcher machine technology for profitable and sustainable small-scale mining. How many years have we been told this? And what is the implementation? Actually, we're told a few were in the system and all that. Looking at the illegal mining scourge, we don't see this, Dr. Vice President. We don't see it. Where's the gold catcher? So if it can't be done now, what can we believe that it will be done later? Next slide. The next MPP government will aggregate and utilize the reclamation fund to implement land reclamation programs. Next slide. Next slide. Then, what is the NDC saying when it comes to illegal mining or focus on mining? Wage a war against the use of cocoa farms for illegal mining and reclaim degraded cocoa lands. That's a tall order. It's not going to be easy. Can they do it? Question for you. Next slide. Ensure that mining operations are not conducted in unapproved areas, such as water bodies, and that the concession holders rehabilitate impacted areas. Next slide. Facilitate equipment financing and mining inputs, research and standardization, gold recovery optimization, and post-mining land reclamation services. What this means to me is that there will have to be a lot of reform, especially including LI 2462, to deal with some of these issues, because it's still alive and kicking, LI 2462. Next slide. But then, as we focus on the economy and get ready to wind down, the number of promises made here, 186 for the MPP, 112 for the NDC. What are they saying? Let's go. Next slide. Emphasize tax cuts and exemptions, amnesties, reforms to the VAT regime, aiming to simplify and remove cascading taxes. The NDC says they'll focus more on reforming the tax regime and remove levies, and then a comprehensive reform of the VAT system and more. But what exactly are we looking at? Next slide. The next slide will give us some information. They will abolish MPP, betting tax and e-levy. Now who bring them? That's my question. Now who bring them? NDC, abolish e-levy, COVID levy, betting winnings levy, and emissions levy. The Y didn't come, but it's there. Next slide. But you see, when they say these things, you must do the opportunity cost, the cost-benefit analysis. Because if they say that it's generating income, right, where will you get the income from? You see, these are realistic things. If you look at how much the COVID-19 levy is giving us, 13.91 billion, e-levy, 8.27 billion, betting tax, 5.1 billion. I am for taking away some of these taxes. I am for it. But at the same time, the party proposing that will take it off. What will you use to replace it? That's the question. Something else we must look at. Next slide, as we delve into the economy. Create over 1 million jobs through investment in the digital economy. That's what the MPP is saying. We've heard this ad nauseum. NDC generate 2 million, so multiply that by 2, jobs through their 24-hour economy policy and other programs. But the tail of the tape when it comes to unemployment. Next slide. Next slide. If you look at the unemployment rate according to the World Bank, right, there was a movement from 5.4% 2010 to 2013 to 2.2%, then a shoot up in 2015 to 6.8%, then a fall in 2017, and since that time, 3.4, 3.2, 3.1. But some go as far, even when you're talking about youth unemployment, to over 13%. And that is one of the things that the NDC will harness, that even where they were versus where we are now, comparisons can't be made. Next slide. Now, we'll be concluding shortly. Stable exchange rate and inflationary control. The MPP is promising you, the voter, this is what, from the 2nd, then the 7th, this is what they are promising you. Bring inflation down to single digits by 2025, supported by exchange rate stability and effective monetary policies. For me, if you asked me, confidence in this, I don't know, because of where we are. The NDC is saying, stabilize the cedi to curb inflationary pressures, reducing import reliance on essential goods. But we've also seen how our cedi fluctuated under their term. Whom do we believe? Next slide. If you look at the trajectory, the exchange rate, Ghana cedi to the dollar, in 2009, right after Kufuor, it was 1.24. By 2014, it was 2.11. That is less than 1 cedi added on. By 2017, 3.97, about 2 cedis added on. By 2022, we're at 5.88. Let's say another 2+ cedis added. 13 cedis, and now we hit a peak of 16.4 and 15.5, where currently we are standing. Next slide. So we are concluding. The average annual inflation rate, 2009 to 2023, if you look at it, just look at the percentage. 19, the 10s, 11s, and all the way to 40%, 2023, 40.30%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Next slide. And then the debt management issues, just to glaze through it, they are focusing on successful agreements made with various creditor groups, like we've seen discussed. But then the NDC is talking about strategic buffers and a sinking fund to manage future resources. We've had this sinking fund logic. Where did it go? They could say that, well, the MPP took over, and that is why we are where we are. But realistically, what will this mean? Next slide. Then, total government debt. You know, we've moved from, in billions of Ghana cedis, 2008, from 8, by 2012, 19, you've added about 11 to that. By 2016, 122, you've added about 102 to that. But then we shot up to 291 billion, and now we are standing at, in 2024, 761 billion Ghana cedis. Look at the trajectory, 2008. Look at where we are. Next slide. And this is the final slide. We are concluding. In terms of the World Bank ease of doing business rankings, because this feeds into the very point I made about the fact that we are about 100 years behind the rest of the world. You look at 2008, Ghana's rank out of 190 countries, 87th. 2012, 63rd. We had done quite a bit here. By 2016, we had fallen to the 114th position in terms of ease of doing business. As of 2020, we stood at 118th. So this is what the parties are saying. And these are the realities, the facts that we've put together for you. Listen, come voting day, whether it's the 2nd or the 7th for you, know what to do. And that's why we are putting this exercise together. My name is Benjamin Akako. These have been my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. God bless Ghana and make her great and strong.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams, Chopbox Technology, a convenient service, German Ozone Medical Center, alternative therapy, dental, wellness and beauty, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants (CIMA) and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants (AICPA), together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Youth Break Foundation, bridging the gaps for positive youth development. Syntex Tanks, Air Strong, Air Tough, Potential Real Estate, your trusted partner in real estate. Deluxy Paint, Paints Mu Champion.
Peace is the foundation upon which our democracy is built, and it is essential that we preserve it even during these critical times. We're all too aware of the devastating consequences of electoral violence in other countries. We cannot afford to traverse that same path. As patriotic citizens, we have a collective responsibility to ensure that our country remains a beacon of peace and stability in our sub-region. And we in the NDC stand prepared to play our parts to achieve this. As citizens, we must recognize that our actions have consequences. While some verbal jousting is to be expected in our daily politicking, divisive language, hate speech, and inflammatory rhetoric that can incite violence should have no place. Temperance, tolerance, understanding, and respect for one another's opinions and beliefs should be the guiding principle upon which our politics is practiced. On our part, as political leaders, we must prioritize peace and unity in our campaigns and avoid unsubstantiated allegations and focus on issue-based campaigning. We must compete on ideas and not on insults. To our security agencies, I commend you for your tireless efforts in maintaining law and order, and I urge you to remain impartial and professional in your duties, ensuring that all citizens can exercise their rights to vote without fear or intimidation. To our media practitioners, I encourage you.
As we approach the home stretch for the elections 2024, my plea to everybody involved in the electioneering process, including candidates, political parties, electoral officers, voters, the media, security, and the general public is to take responsibility for ensuring peace and harmony seriously, and to demonstrate that we are not reluctant Democrats. My hope, and that of the MPP, is that we will come out of this election stronger as a nation. We are hopeful all sides will take some positive steps to preserve the unity, peace, and stability of this country.
From yesterday's signing of that peace pact. Thankfully, both of the juggernauts leading the two major political parties, the NPP and the NDC, putting pen to paper. But the question is, where do we go from here? What are the signals going into election 2024? We're joined by Professor Kwesi Inning. He's a security analyst. He joins the conversation. Prof, good morning. Professor Inning, if you can hear me, good morning. It's good having you join the conversation. Now, yesterday, I mean, we all pray for peace, right? We all want peace. But the peace, there must be concomitant issues that will lead to that peace. What are your takeaways from yesterday's signing of the peace pact?
Well, look, peace pacts are a midway document. Peace pacts represent just the hopes and aspirations of those who put their signatures to that document. It's an aspirational document. So there are lots of misunderstandings. People want to win it all. Parties to a peace pact give up something in the hope that all those who sign will be honest, sincere, and truthful to the content. So it's a midway document. The hard work begins now. Of getting the principles and the values embedded in that document accepted, particularly by the hawks within the signatory groups. So there's a lot of hard work between now and then until 7th of January. But also, let me make this point. A peace pact that does not deal with the challenges resulting or that led to the misunderstandings is already a peace pact with wobbly legs. And there are quite a number of difficulties from the 2020 elections.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that, Prof? You say a peace pact that does not address...
Any peace pact that does not address the challenges that contributed to the misunderstandings leading to the tensions, the fear, and the possibility of violence is a peace pact that is on very wobbly legs. We haven't dealt with those who invaded Parliament, the uniformed officers who sent them there. How were they pulled out? Why were they sent there? And then the people who died and the violence. So going forward, the behavior, the utterances, the actions of all political party leaders must assuage the fears of the people of this country. Let me say, however, that the demeanor of the leaders of the MPP and the NDC, particularly the presidential candidates, have contributed to reducing tensions this time round, because they are perceived as individuals who love peace and have throughout their lives been working towards peace. So although it is a wobbly peace agreement, the two gentlemen, Dr. Bawumia and Mr. Mahama, must continue to preach the message of peace, particularly to the hardliners in their own parties.
Within those parties, do you feel enough is being done, not just at the top, but at the base, maybe the middle part and at the base, to foster that peace?
No, because there are way too many hardliners who are also not only at the middle level, but at fairly senior level with organizational responsibilities and capabilities, whose utterances are totally unacceptable. And in quite a number of other jurisdictions, we would have argued that those utterances were a prelude to incitement and to violence. So the two gentlemen have a lot to do, because there are people in their parties whose behavior and utterances create the impression that the narratives and the discourses around peace are only acceptable to them when the results favor them. That is not how peace is won. And I think these difficulties come about because peace is not a common good. There are people and groups in both parties who benefit when there is no peace. And because violence is a currency that both parties, what is the word I am looking for? That both parties appreciate, there is a direct positive correlation in both parties. For those who use utterances that are demeaning, that are threatening, who also get access to power and the incentives that arise thereof when their parties win. So there's a lot of work that we need to do between now and the 7th of December, but particularly between the night of the 7th and until the results are finally declared.
From the institutional standpoint, yes, the parties have said what they do, but the peace also hinges on the actions of certain organizations, including the Ghana Police Service. What has the IGP said? He says they are 95% ready. He says the police won't be the source of any disturbances to tarnish Ghana's peace. That's what the IGP has been saying. How about the Electoral Commission? They have, in recent times, they have one Volta, serialization problem. They burnt those ones. They have been up to quite a lot to ensure that the right things are done to ensure the credibility of our elections. But at the same time, there still are problems. The EC is reporting ballot paper shortages in 5 constituencies across the Volta region, for example. How can these, from the institutional standpoint, is enough being done to safeguard our peace from where you sit? Hello, Prof.
I think from the Ghana Police Service side, enough is being done. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think from the Ghana Police Service side, enough is being done in terms of the signaling. I think yesterday, Dr. Dan Parrish spoke about some preparatory documents which I've been trying to get my hands on. That looks almost 30 years ahead in terms of building the structures to ensure that peace is won. But that is at the very top level. How do we ensure that these signals trickle down to the ordinary police officer who is at the barrier on the road between Accra and Sogakope or Obuti or wherever, to Cape Coast or to Takrady? So the signaling from the police service and the security agencies so far are encouraging. And I think I've always been telling people that probably the defining point, particularly for the Ghana Police Service, was the ascent of by election, in which they managed to deal with all sides of the divide who had flouted the law. And I have almost a sense that apart from the excessive utterances and intimidating utterances, leaders of both parties are sensitive to the fact that if they cross the line, Dr. Dampare will deal with them according to the law. The EC's credibility is problematic. I just saw some.
No, how did you start? You said the EC's credibility is what?
It's problematic.
Problematic. Okay.
Because they make too many mistakes, and there are too many corrections and too many reversals. And some of their utterances are also not helpful. You know, peace works best when the most critical institutions whose actions should ensure that people trust those institutions and embed their trust and respect in those institutions. Must be careful in the way that they put things on paper and the way that they behave and say things. I think there are too many reversals in which the EC comes back after having made a definitive statement or taken a definitive position. Over time, an institution's credibility gets eroded when its actions and interventions are not necessarily challenged by those who receive their actions, but they themselves continuously change their positions. You know, so between now and the elections and until the results are declared, the EC itself must be careful and double check whatever it puts out into the public domain.
Right.
Because reversals create uncertainty, they create doubt, and it is those uncertainties and doubts that people will exploit or seek to exploit to undermine the peace that we are all looking for.
My final bit to you, Prof. I mean, yesterday it was heartwarming. 10 others in addition to Dr. Mahama Bawumia and John Dramani Mahama. So 12 of them. Of course, we know of the sad demise of Ikweadonko, I beg your pardon, Ikweadonko, and then the Ghana Freedom Party representative being sidelined. So 12 of them now, all of them putting pen to paper. But my final bit to you is, we've spoken about institutions. The NCCE, Codeo, CDD, they recently got some funding, millions of dollars from, I believe, the ECOWAS. We've spoken about the political actors. How about us, you and me, ordinary Ghanaians? How about those strong supporters of the NDC, of the MPP, of the Movement for Change and others? Where do we lie on the spectrum? What is expected of us? Those will be your final thoughts.
Politics is about shared values and shared norms, underpinned by unshakable principles. No single political party in Ghana has in its official documents support for violence, threats, and intimidation. Basically, that we have a baseline upon which all of us as individuals and political actors can say, we want an election in which is driven by these shared norms, shared values, and shared principles. So we will queue, we will take our voter's ID card, we will vote, either hang around, but best to go home, and then come back, follow the instructions, watch the counting, and then let's congratulate each other. A successful, peaceful election is a victory for Ghana. The world has changed. It's become a more dangerous world in which dangerous people seek to undermine what others have taken decades and centuries to build. Let's not give those who seek to destroy the opportunity. opportunity. Let's turn to our neighbor and say, your welfare is my welfare. Your survival is my survival. And together, we can build a Ghana that our forefathers shed their blood for. I am optimistic, very optimistic actually, that we will go through this election, not with the loss of lives, not with uniformed personnel invading parliament again next year, but allowing the processes and the mechanisms to work for our common good.
And that is the prayer of all of us. Peace is what we want to reign. Thank you so much, Professor Kwesi Enning, for joining the conversation. We appreciate your time with us this morning. And that is Professor Kwesi Enning. He's a security analyst. He joined the conversation. Before we take a breather, it is the calling of institutions of higher education to actively participate in the policy and development conversations within Ghana and around the world. Towards this aspiration, the Central University has the pleasure of inviting the general public to a public lecture to be delivered by the Chief Justice of the Republic, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokonu. The topic, the sustainability of excellent legal education in tertiary institutions in Ghana, the way forward. The date is today, Friday, 29th November 2024. It's at 3 p.m. at the Best Western Premier Hotel in Airport Residential Area. This public lecture is the highlight of the 10th anniversary celebrations of Central University's Faculty of Law, and of course, their media partner is us, the Multimedia Group. We take a breather. We'll be back with more action. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show. Are you in yet? And if you're not, you must be in. I'll be telling you about the You Are In campaign shortly. And of course, it is about Affinity. They offer financial services, digital. They have a digital financial app. But to tell us more about the You Are In campaign and Affinity Ghana, we have in the studio Irene Donati. Yes, she's Italian. And she joins the conversation. She is head of marketing and growth. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. You said my name so well. I'm very proud.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, all of you guys enjoy say my name perfectly.
Well, we stand for excellence. But let's find out about Affinity. What is Affinity?
So Affinity, as you rightfully said, is a financial institution. We have our main product is a digital banking app. Okay. You can access every bank product from your phone through an app. You can even open a bank account directly to an app. You download the app, you put your phone number, you receive your OTPs, your PIN, and all these kind of things for security. Then you take a screenshot of your Ghana card, a selfie, and our verification system just onboards you within minutes, and you have a bank account. You have a fully functioning transactional or like bank account, current account, as we call it in the traditional banking. And and it's completely free. So we have no monthly fees, no monthly charges, no service charges.
Unlike a traditional bank. Unlike a traditional bank.
I mean, I'm sure there's some bank accounts that probably they don't have a lot of charges, but what we also don't have, we don't have any transaction charges. So you can move money towards Momo, you can pull money from your mobile money, and you can send money to all of the banks and all the mobile money wallets for free.
That sounds like a pretty seamless process. And it's all digital.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in an app, and also USSD support, but you have to still onboard on the app.
Okay, so. Let's talk about the You Are In campaign. I know that, and we're discussing this before we came on air, Ghana's informal sector is huge. The formal sector is not as big, which comes with a lot of unbanked people.
Yeah.
What is the You Are In campaign, and how does it address this?
So, you know, when we talk about unbanked population, we're always talking about financial inclusion, like every new fintech in the market talks about. We're here for financial inclusion, but are you actually including people? So inclusion, innovation, informal, like all these words have an in it, right? And affinity as an inside affinity. So it was very easy for her to be like, okay, you are in, because what we are doing is about the customers. It's not really about us. When you watch our campaign, when you see the ads, you see that all the stories are our actual customer stories. They're not actors. They actually telling their stories throughout social media, TV, and other interviews. And yeah, it's about them. It's not about how cool our app is. It's about the service that we provide so that our customers can have an easier life, but it's more like the tool that we provide to them.
It's innovative that you're offering free transactions on all of these. But the question too is you're also sort of offering instant loans, right? It's a game changer as far as our economic landscape is concerned. But what is the approach of Affinity when it comes to instant loans?
Yeah, so we don't want to be over-promising and just tell people, oh, you come, we give you money, right? Because that's what happens sometimes with some institutions that have been also problematic in the past, where we give you a small loan, we charge you 200% interest, and then there's all sort of things going on. So you have to be our customer, of course, to access this type of facilities. And you have to have a transaction history. So you have to deposit in the account, you have to use the account like if you would use your mobile money, basically. And based on your transaction history, you can qualify for an instant loan. So you have to be banking with us for at least 3 months. You have to run your account, as we say. And if you run your account with us, then you have access to these affordable and quick loans.
All right. So to conclude the conversation, you want Ghanaians to be in. It's you
Absolutely.
are in.
They are already
Affinity. In. What will be your final words? Also talking about how entrepreneurs and others, individuals, can benefit from this.
Well, we are really like the focus of our institution is small and medium businesses, MSMEs, informal businesses, and many of them have already accessed our accounts and our products and our facilities. So what I would suggest to them is to download the app, start banking with us, but also check through our website, affinityghana.com, to check the other opportunities that they have as businesses, so that maybe a relationship officer can speak to them and give them access to all our products.
Thank you so much, Irene, for joining the conversation.
Thank you for
If
having
you're
me.
watching us, you want to go to affinity.com and, of course, take advantage of the opportunities that are available. And that was Affinity Ghana's Irene Donati. She is Head of Marketing and Growth. All the best.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Do stay with us. We'll be right back with more.
Customers.
What sort of wearables do you use? Whether it's for your wrist, whether it's the earbuds and other, tech that you use, to make your days seamless, better. Well, I'm going to introduce you to a new package, a new product that is making waves. It's all about Cora. And I'm joined this morning by the Head of Brands and Marketing at Cora Wearables, Bello Sida Haruna. Good morning.
Good morning.
I see Cora boldly written across your... Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is Cora?
Okay, so Cora is a smart accessories brand. Basically, we are into everything smart accessories, from smart watches to earbuds, headsets, Bluetooth speakers, power banks, essentially, basically everything smart accessories. Yes.
Wow, I see. And how long have you been in existence?
Oh, this is our 2nd year. It's a young brand, but we're making a lot of waves.
Okay. And like I said, interesting brand. You're doing quite a bit. Where are you based?
Okay, so we are based in Tema, but then it's an online shop. So you have it's called the iPlayCora.com. You go there, you have all the prices and all our product features and everything. And also we are also on social media as well. We do also have authorized distributors and retailers in town.
Okay, so iPlayCora.com. Is that I with a dot? Or
yes, I with a dot. Yeah.
Cora.com.
Yes.
I see. Yes. But tell us about some of your products. So you've spoken about wearables, the wristbands or the watches. And the rest.
Yeah.
What are your best-selling products? Tell us a bit about your products.
Oh, basically, all our products actually really move, because the thing is, we're trying to, there are a lot of people who actually want these wearables, but then they can't afford. So
that's where we come in.
About cost. So that's where we come in. Affordability, and then durability. Because, you know, there are a lot of people who don't want to go for those generic brands because they start using it within a month or two. Yeah. It's not working. And then they also don't have money to go for the very, very, very high end. Top end. So this is where we come in. And the good thing is that we have 1 year warranty. That should tell you the product.
1 year warranty.
1 year warranty. And if you buy from online, it's free delivery for you. Anywhere you are in Ghana, whether Boku, anywhere in Ghana, it's free delivery for you.
Free delivery?
Yes.
Even to the extremes?
Boku.
Even to Paga?
Even to Paga.
How do you manage that?
Well, that's what makes us special, you know, and that's one of the unique things that we have that a lot of our competitors don't have. So that's what makes Cora very special.
I see. So this is a homegrown brand?
Yes, not homegrown brand per se, but then the team is homegrown, but then we have international partners. Okay. Yes. So for West Africa, we are starting with Ghana, then from there we move to the rest of the region, actually.
I see. Yeah. Now, with a year's warranty, that must be top notch.
Yes.
And you have your website. How else can people get in touch if they want to purchase your products?
Okay, so as I said, you can go on our social media handles. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Snap, we're on TikTok, we're on X. So you go there, you get all the information that you need.
What should they type in?
Sorry?
What should they type in when they're looking for you?
Cora Wearables. At Cora Wearables.
So at Kora, and then you add wearables. That is Wearables.
Yes.
And everything will show.
Yeah, everything will show. You have all the information that you need.
All right. Yeah. Do you have a phone number you want to put out? Or
yes,
anything?
yes. So you can reach us out on 0244-281349. And this one comes directly to me. So that tells you that you'll be getting your top-notch service from my end.
Can you repeat that number slowly?
0244, okay. 0244-281349.
Right. Thank you so much. If you have any final words in some 10 seconds, you can give that to us. If not.
Okay. So what I want to tell our viewers is that we are currently running a 15% discount on all our products for first-time purchase. So from now to end of December, you are sure that when you come to our site, 15% flat for you. So pay now per day.
No. Pay per day. Head to Cora Wearables on social media, and they'll get you sorted out. Well, there you go, and that's the head of brands and marketing at Cora Wearables, Bello Sida Haruna. Thank you so much, sir, for joining the conversation. We'll be right back with more. Do stay. Welcome back. This is the AM show. And of course, we are joined by the ACI Ghana Financial Markets Association. They have a peace walk because guess what? You'll be asking financial institutions, they're peace for Obey. But the point is, without peace, without peace, there will be no transactions. And that's why we have our guest joining us in the studio this morning, Lawrence Osilaja Bwampong, is president of the ACI Ghana Financial Markets Association. We also have Stephen Tete Atikosi, head of PR and media relations with ACI Ghana Financial Markets Association. Good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
It's good to have you.
Thanks for having us.
The conversation. Lawrence, I'll start with you. Tell us about what you do briefly before we even get into the peace campaign.
All right, thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished viewers and, of course, to our ACI members. So ACI is a local chapter of ACI FMA, the Financial Markets Association. It's the global organization of financial markets industry. Now, as an association, our mission basically is to promote best practices, ethical standards, and of course, continuous education of members. And so that's what we do. We've been around for some time, and our membership spans across banks, broker-dealers, asset managers, and other players in different regulatory areas. And so basically, we bring a lot of expertise to the table, supporting government and shaping policy decisions, and of course, equipping our members with the requisite skills so that they can also contribute to the development of the financial markets. That's what we do.
Interesting. I don't know whether you'd like to add anything, but I was going to ask you about the peace walk. Of course, without peace, nothing can exist. So why this peace campaign? Why this peace walk?
So we believe that it's very important that we have a very sane economy. And whilst we're going to the poll on the 7th of December, We just want to shout it out so that the people involved, the authorities, and everyone who's part of the organization that's going to put this election together will know that peace is essential. We have financial markets, but if we don't have peace in the country, then we cannot contribute anything to the financial economy. So it's very important that we have peace beyond, during, and after the election.
Without peace, it will be left with the and the financial will be gone. But when is this peace walk happening? Who can participate? Give us some details about it.
So the peace walk is scheduled to come off tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, the 30th of November at 6 a.m. The converging point will be the 37 officers' mess. That's where we expect all members to gather for us to start the walk. And it's open to everyone, to the general public. Yes. So it's open to our members, open to anyone, industry stakeholders, and anyone who wants to promote and preach the message of peace is welcome to join us. So in terms of the route, we'll be moving from 37 straight to the airport. When we get to the Opebia Junction, we take a right turn in front of Stanbic Heights all the way to the airport roundabout and back to 37. So it's pretty much about an hour walk, and I think we should be able to send a good message across.
Stephen, I guess you're killing two birds with one stone. Working out towards your health and also, preaching the message of peace. But is there any particular attire people should wear? Because you could also have, and I'm just saying this, people coming in political attire, paraphernalia and stuff. What is the dynamic for your?
All right, so basically for everyone who's going to be part of the peace walk, we're encouraging sportswear just so that it's easy for you to also, partake in the activity. But for the members of ACI, we have printed shirts that we're going to give out. So it gives us a unique identity so that people know who we are. But for anyone who wants to partake, anybody from any of the industries or anyone at all who wants to also preach this message of peace, we advise that you come in any sports or anything that makes you very comfortable.
But not political?
No political colors. No political colors.
Gentlemen, I think it's a good initiative and more elbow grease as far as you're concerned. Final words, 15 seconds each. I'll start.
So, in a nutshell, I want to say we are trusting that tomorrow's turnout will be great because we are trusting that all members of ACI will be in attendance, and of course, all stakeholders will be a part of this. And of course, we want to enjoy it, tell everyone to, in our little corner, let's try and preach peace anywhere you find yourself, because we cannot thrive in an economy that is filled with chaos. So please, let's promote peace in all we can do.
Stephen?
Yeah, so together we're just calling out all our members out there, and everyone else who's very interested in this. Listen, this country is ours. It's all of us, our responsibility to ensure that we preach the message of peace and ensure that it happens. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ben, for having us.
Like I said, more grease to your elbows.
Thank you so much.
And that's Lawrence Osila Jabwampong, President of the ACI Ghana Financial Markets Association. We also had Stephen Tete Atikosi, Head PR and Media Relations with the ACI Ghana Financial Markets Association. And, of course, you're invited. Join them tomorrow, 6 a.m., coming from the 37 area. Do stay with us. We'll be back with more action. We'll be right back. Well, here we are back, and the Accra are here in the studio. Joining the conversation, the 2004 year group. We have the president joining us here, Charles Mark Odoy. He's someone I actually know, my fellow Catholic. Yeah. And Rachel Abba Phillips, a committee member. Both of them join the conversation. I'm praying for the day I'll get hair so I can do, sister locks like this, or maybe brother locks, but not thick like this. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
2004 year group. Hey, watch out. Watch out.
Yeah, 20 years of living school.
20 years.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your year group and what you've been up to?
Okay, so in Achimota, if it's 20 years of living school, it's been instituted that we bring our teachers who taught us back to the school and then to appreciate them and also to celebrate them. So it's our turn this year for us to appreciate our teachers. And tomorrow, we are bringing all our teachers, all our mates are coming there, about 67 to about 70 teachers who taught us within the period of 2001 and 2004. and for us to appreciate and also to celebrate them. You know, teachers are not paid well, so
some local few go by all.
Exactly.
Oh wow.
Exactly. I mean, we are what we are. I mean, everybody is what we are because of our teachers. So it's important we do appreciate what they did for us.
Right. Rachel, so I see that you guys believe in the fact that a teacher's reward is not necessarily the one in heaven, but at least here, as a local few. I love that. I love that. But tell me about what else is going to happen tomorrow. I know it's going to be a party after party, but what else can you tell us?
So it's also a celebration of 20 years after leaving school. Some of us haven't seen each other since we left school. I'm looking forward to seeing those mates. I've seen some over the years. Some of our friendships have been maintained. And so it's just, us getting together as well.
So you're killing two birds with one stone.
Exactly.
People you've not met, colleagues you've not seen. And that happens to the best of us from way back when. So you get to meet all these people, fraternize, socialize, and you also get to reward your teachers. What other action can you talk about that's coming up tomorrow?
So tomorrow, I mean, again, there are teachers that are very old, fragile, who are coming.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, we had a chance of personally inviting them in their homes and also speaking to them. So they have assured us that they are all going to be there. At least just a few that cannot make it. Their families would
represent them.
Exactly.
Right.
To pick their appreciation, on their behalf. So that's basically what's going to happen. As Rachel said, after we would ask the teachers to go, and then we would have our own thing, possibly into the night a bit.
I know what's up. But Rachel, finally, you can throw an invitation out there to your Accra community.
So 2004 year group, Rachel here, I'm saying you should come, let's catch up, let's chat, let's network, and let's celebrate our teachers. Thank you.
Yes, so I mean...
Talk to the boys. Oh. What can they expect?
Charlie, my guys, Charlie, you for drops. You got Morodi, Charlie. You'll be chilling throughout. And also, of course, I mean, we are going to remember some of our mates who have left us.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yes. I think about 8 of our mates have left us, yes. So we'd also remember them. And then after that, I mean, of course, we need to chill.
Ayo. Well, all the best to you guys. And that is the 2004 year group and their Teachers Appreciation Day 2024. It comes off tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the Old Assembly Hall. Those who joined us for this conversation, the president of the Achimota 2004 year group, I'm talking about Charles Mark Odoi, and of course, a committee member, Rachel Abba Phillips. All the best, guys.
Thank you.
Right. We take another breather. We'll be back with a lot more. Do stay. It's the Ben and Sweetie Show. We call it the AM Show. Thank you so much for your company. And this is how we wrap up on the show. But we're leaving you with the Esuojaman constituency. That's for our constituency lens today. What are the parties offering? What are the actionable bits they're offering? Here are excerpts of that.
Where will this constituency lean in December? What factors are actually influencing voter decision here in the Esuojaman constituency? I believe you want to know. And so come with me while we speak to voters to understand the factors that will inform their vote on December 7th.
We the youth, we are suffering from work and then money. Some of us, we don't have parents to support. So we need them to help us.
Everything is too much. The fare, I mean everything is high. So they need to do something about it.
Here, they are not buying because the economy is very high. The passengers don't have money. The MPs, if we vote for them and they win, they don't know us.
The youth employment in this community is very difficult because we only have VRA and the Volta Lake. So it's like if the course you study doesn't correspond to that area, that means we are not going to get any employment.
The kind of nepotism that this government has really shown that you have to belong to a particular circle before you are given some kind of attention. And you look at the basic things. Actually, I've really gone round, especially in Akosombo, and you see poverty staring at your face. You see people are suffering.
Right now, even Kenke, 2016, Kenke was 1 cedi, and we use it for campaign. But now Kenke is 7 cedi, 8 cedis. So I think that if any party that can come to power and then reduce the cost of living, I will vote for that person.
This, you see this thing? It's how much? 5 cedis.
I have 3 kids. Looking at it, the school fees alone is even killing me. They are saying free education, but forget about the free education. The books we buy, the things we buy, it's even more than the free education.
For the past 8 years, I have achieved a lot that the whole district assembly could not match. I have achieved a lot that the whole MPP government have not been able to do.
That cannot be true. That is palpable falsehood. Okay. Look, many of the things that the outgoing member of parliament, Thomas Ampemyako, speaks about are projects that are sponsored by NGOs. And now the people know.
Who brought in the NGOs?
Look, I'm saying that sometimes the NGOs come by themselves.